Chapter 427. 4 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Chu Hen had gone through countless places, but he still hadn't found a single colossal lava beast. However, the test to become an inner court disciple had begun. The fluctuations of energy could be sensed from all over the place. Compared to the first round of the test, the second round was clearly of a higher standard. Rays of dazzling light erupted wantonly in the distance. All sorts of powerful martial techniques erupted like a raging torrent, and they gave rise to waves of violent and monstrous energy. The roars of all sorts of demon beasts resounded through the mountain stream. At the same time, the shrill cries of humans were occasionally accompanied by them as well. The test was never safe, and it was accompanied by blood and sacrifices. At the peak of a spacious mountain, Chu Hen stood there, his pitch-black eyes that were like ink swept across the surrounding environment. This was a barren mountain range, and the area in an area of over 5 kilometers was covered in solid rock. The temperature of the rock beneath his feet was extremely high, and it felt scalding hot when it came into contact with his skin. The winding mountain ridge was like the bones of a dragon that lay prostrate on the ground. Occasionally, some unknown weeds would grow out from between the cracks in the rocks, and occasionally, a tiny lizard would crawl across the ground. He'd searched so many places, but the temperature in this area was the highest. But it just so happened that Chu Hen hadn't been able to find a single colossal lava beast after so long. How strange! Could it be that there aren't any colossal lava beasts in the Mang Mountain forest? Chu Hen shook his head and quickly rejected that thought. Since it was a test assigned by the Thousand Crane sect, then they would definitely confirm the situation here. There was absolutely no reason for them to assign such a baseless mission to him. Let's go look elsewhere. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen's figure flashed towards another direction. Bang! At this moment, an incomparably heavy and earth-shattering explosion suddenly erupted from a mountain ridge in the rear area. A vast aura of chaos swept through the surroundings, and then over a dozen figures in sorry states dashed over in panic. Let's go! That fellow is too terrifying. This is so King strange. As the crowd fled in all directions, they were constantly shouting in panic. Chu Hen furrowed his brows and pondered for a moment. Then, he dashed towards the few people who were rushing towards him. What happened? Chu Hen asked. Master Chu Hen, junior brother, no, senior brother. The person in the lead recognized the person in front of him as Chu Hen, who had defeated the palace disciple, Meng Hong, with an illusory technique. He quickly changed the way he addressed him and addressed him as senior brother instead of junior brother. Why are you all so flustered? Chu Hen asked casually. Lava boulder beast. Another person stammered. Lava boulder? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. After searching for so long, he finally found this guy's trail. Then, the man continued to speak incoherently. Crazy lava boulder beast, that thing that killed 1,000 knives is like crazy, much more fierce than before. 2 senior brothers of the First Order of the Breaking Void Realm were killed by that guy with 1 punch, killing 2 void-piercing realm masters with 1 punch? Chu Hen couldn't help but be stunned. The lava boulder beast shouldn't be so fierce. Let's not talk about it. Senior brother Chu Hen, you should go too. This lava boulder beast is definitely a mutant freak. After saying a few words in a hurry, they continued to run away. They were here for the assessment. If they lost their lives, it would be a big loss. Looking at the few people who were scared out of their wits, Chu Hen's eyebrows showed a hint of curiosity. Without the slightest consideration, he immediately headed towards the back of the ridge. When Chu Hen approached that place, a wave of scorching air that overflowed to the heavens pounced on him. Roar! Along with the roar of a tyrant, a huge monster appeared in Chu Hen's line of sight. It was a rock beast with a body of more than 100 meters. Its whole body was covered with a thick layer of dark red solid rock. At a glance, it looked like a terrifying product that was pieced together by boulders. It was the lava boulder beast. Chu Hen's heart lit up. However, he quickly discovered that something was wrong. The lava boulder beast was a peak existence among the first-level beast kings. At best, it could only be comparable to a second-level beast king. However, the aura of the big guy in front of him was actually comparable to a third-level beast king. No wonder those people were scared out of their wit. For them, a third-level beast king was not even worth considering. Their only choice was to turn around and run. That is? Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly. He then discovered that the surface of the lava boulder beast's body was faintly floating with a layer of strange light. The light flickered, showing a faint dark gold color. Under the dark red skin of the other party, it seemed to be wearing a gauze with light patterns. Roar! Soon, the lava boulder beast discovered Chu Hen's arrival. It was shocked, angry, and disdainful. Others would run as far as they could, but this guy in front of it, who was not afraid of death, actually dared to stand in front of it. In the next moment, the lava boulder beast did not hesitate to throw a punch at the other party. Buzz buzz, a violent and powerful wave of air swept out. The huge fist was like a house with the force of rolling thunder. The vast and majestic aura caused the space to tremble uneasily. Humph! Faced with the extremely explosive punch of the other party, Chu Hen did not even have the intention of dodging. With a sharp gaze, a beautiful circle of golden-red illusory flames bloomed from his body like a wreath. Chu Hen fearlessly threw out his right fist, facing the huge rock fist head-on. Bang! There was a violent turbulence and tremor in the sky. Chu Hen's right fist, which was swallowing and spitting illusory flames, collided with the lava boulder beast. At the moment when the two met, a dazzling illusory brilliance burst out like the sun, and a bright halo spread in all directions like ripples on the surface of the water. The two forces, which seemed to have a huge difference, blended and impacted, and the lava boulder beast was shaken to the point of retreating. And Chu Hen was still standing in the same place as a mountain, exuding a transcendent aura from head to toe. Roar! The lava boulder beast was furious, and a pair of huge, millstone-like eyes revealed a thick and fierce light. The human in front of it was not as weak as he looked. However, Chu Hen was even more shocked in his heart. His punch just now only made the other party retreat a few dozen meters. It should be known that Chu Hen's physical strength was far better than that of ordinary people. Even under normal circumstances, it could be comparable to an expert in the third rank of the void-piercing realm. Especially when he released the power of the Flaming Sun Body Refinement Technique. Now, Chu Hen had almost cultivated the Flaming Sun Body Refinement Technique to the stage of great mastery. Although it was still a little short of a splitting spirit weapon, it was not a problem to contend with a spirit weapon. There is indeed something wrong with this guy. There must be something wrong with this guy. Chu Hen pondered for a moment, and then moved his mind. Wisps of black light surged out like a tide, lingering outside his body, and an amazing power broke out of his body. Before the lava boulder beast launched a second round of attacks, Chu Hen took the lead and launched a particularly fierce attack on the other party. Swish! The rapid wind was sharp and ear-piercing, and Chu Hen dragged a series of afterimages in the air. His speed was so fast that he was like a flowing shadow. Roar! The lava boulder beast spat out a low roar, raised its giant arm, and slapped fiercely at Chu Hen. Bang! Two huge rock palms collided together. Chu Hen drew an arc, like a butterfly passing through flowers, and quickly flew through the opponent's fingers. Then, he swept to the front of the opponent's head, and punched the center of the opponent's forehead. The fist wrapped in a strange black light was crowned with the power of thunder. Streams of rapidly rotating black chi swirled around Chu Hen's arm at high speed. Boom! With a loud bang, the fist force that contained a terrifying lethality landed solidly on the opponent's forehead. The impact was like a raging mountain as it came crashing down, causing loose gravel to scatter in all directions. The lava boulder beast suddenly lost its center of gravity, let out an angry roar, and then fell backward. Chapter 428. Boom! Chu Hen's fist, which was surrounded by brilliant illusory flames and dense black light, landed solidly on the lava boulder beast's head. The lava boulder beast's enormous body was instantly sent flying, crashing into the back of a mountain and causing a large area to collapse. It's still not dead? Chu Hen stared at the lava boulder beast, which was still exuding a powerful aura. This was truly strange. The lava boulder beast didn't seem to be a mutated species, so how could it be so much stronger than normal lava boulder beasts? Roar! The lava boulder beast let out an incomparably angry roar as it crawled back up from where it had fallen. Immediately afterwards, a wave of violent energy exploded from its body, causing the ground to tremble. A wave of heat swept out in all directions. Under Chu Hen's slightly shocked gaze, the lava boulder beast's enormous body actually split apart. Cracks spread across its body like a dried-up riverbed, and bright red liquid flowed through the cracks. The scorching heat was rampant, and the red liquid looked just like magma from the Earth's core. Roar! The raging flames caused the ground to tremble, and all of the demonic beasts within a radius of a few thousand meters fled in panic. The lava boulder beast faced Chu Hen, its wide mouth wide open, and a red light flowed out of it. Whoosh! In the next instant, a stream of scarlet magma gushed towards Chu Hen with great momentum. Chu Hen's heart jolted. This big guy still had such a trick up its sleeve? He hurriedly used the light shaking movement technique to dodge. The scarlet-red magma traversed through the sky, and then attacked a mountain peak behind Chu Hen. Boom! Like a volcano erupting, a pillar of fire shot into the sky, and a scarlet mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Half of the mountain peak collapsed, and the few small shrubs and small animals that lived in the cracks in the rocks were instantly turned into ashes. So savage? Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows raised, but he was both shocked and suspicious. Seeing that its first attack had failed, the lava boulder beast continued its next round of attack. It opened its huge mouth, and 3 streams of scarlet lava burst out in a row, sweeping wildly at Chu Hen. An incomparably shocking high temperature filled this world, and even the space was faintly distorted from the scorching heat. Chu Hen kept leaving a series of afterimages in the void, changing his position like a ghost. The lava boulder beasts bombarded the area indiscriminately. Extremely terrifying magma wantonly attacked the mountain ridges in all directions. Smoke rose in all directions, and the color of the sky changed. Flames soared into the sky, and the area within 1,000 meters was instantly turned into a sea of fire. Roar! The giant beast roared, its flames raging. At this moment, the other party was like a volcano with its own consciousness. Wherever he aimed, magma would surge like a flood. F***ck, this bastard is crazy. Even Chu Hen couldn't help but curse. He was more or less speechless. He had never heard of a lava boulder beast being so ferocious. This eruption of magma was as if it didn't care about its own life. In just a few blinks of an eye, the entire area had turned dark. Fireballs of all sizes fell like rain, covering the sky and earth as they smashed chaotically in this space. The ground was blasted open one after another, and the scene was a scene of desolation. Flames rose everywhere. The commotion here quickly attracted the attention of the other official disciples who were participating in the assessment. Many people quickly rushed over, but when they saw the chaotic scene, they were so scared that they didn't dare to approach, and only watched from afar. But seeing this situation, Chu Hen's eyes flashed coldly, and he said coldly, "I'm not playing with you anymore." Zing! A sharp metallic sound rang in the air, and the limitless Fong appeared in Chu Hen's palm. Boom! Immediately after, an incomparably powerful and majestic aura erupted from Chu Hen's body. Resplendent silver splendor filled the air, and it was as dazzling as a star. The energy waves on Chu Hen's body continued to surge, and the space trembled violently like fireworks. 6 silver shadows separated from Chu Hen's body. In an instant, 7 identical Chu Hen appeared in the world, and the aura emitted from each of them was exactly the same. Roar, the giant lava beast's huge eyes revealed a hint of fear as it witnessed the astonishing scene before it. Then, a vigorous and substantial flame rose from the lava boulder beast's body. The huge beast was more than 100 meters tall, and its entire body was covered in red flames. This kind of aura caused the mountains and rivers to tremble, and the hearts of the people in all directions trembled. Immediately after, the lava boulder beast's aura surged. It opened its huge mouth and spat out 7 terrifying streams of lava. The 7 streams of lava were like dancing fire snakes, and they swept towards the 7 Chu Hens with a boundless destructive aura. At the same time, the 7 Chu Hens had already raised the black sabers in their hands. The powerful power of the stars gathered on the limitless Fang's blade like silver lightning, and the black saber was instantly dyed silver. From a distance, it seemed as if Chu Hen's hands were holding 7 lightning pillars, 7 star kill, alcade slash. Buzz! Along with Chu Hen's shout, the 7 sabers rose up in anger, and beautiful patterns of light filled the sky. The 7 silver saber rays that were 100 meters wide tore through the air with the power of a thunderbolt, and created a dense killing power as they slashed towards the 7 streams of scarlet lava. Boom! The terrifying power was like the violent collision of a meteor and a flood. The sky lost its color, and the wind and clouds surged. Circles of scorching heat waves were released high up in the sky, and a tsunami-like curtain of fire stacked up and soared into the sky. However, how could the lava boulder beast's power compete with Chu Hen's? It only managed to block for less than 2 seconds, and the 7 silver saber rays directly split the scarlet lava apart with the power to split a mountain. The vast power was earth-shattering, as if it was splitting the waves. In the next instant, the 7 starry saber rays that broke through the scarlet lava were like flying arrows that had traveled back thousands of years, and all of them hit the lava boulder beast's body. Boom! The earth trembled, and an incomparably powerful force came crashing down. Rocks flew everywhere, and the mountains swayed. Roar! Along with a miserable cry of pain, the rock layer on the lava boulder beast's body shattered inch by inch, and it exploded wantonly. Scalding blood rained down, while a string of damaged internal organs sprayed all over the place. The lava boulder beast's violent aura swiftly weakened, and then it let out a low howl of pain before it fell to the ground, causing dust and dirt to fly into the air and a large expanse of rocks to be flattened. That's really terrifying. The other official disciples of the Thousand Cranes sect who were spectating from afar were stunned. Is that Chu Hen? Who else could it be? What's going on with that lava boulder beast? Why is his aura so terrifying? Ignore him. It's more important for us to complete our own assignment. Since they were at the test grounds, they had no intention of heading over to Chu Hen's location. All of them exclaimed with surprise and bewilderment as they dispersed. After that, Chu Hen flew down and flashed over to the lava boulder beast's side, and then the other 6 figures in the sky gradually vanished. The lava boulder beast's internal organs had been destroyed, and it couldn't be more dead. You've brought honor to your lava beast clan. Chu Hen spoke casually before he withdrew a transparent glass container and extracted its blood essence. The lava boulder beast's blood essence contained shocking fire elemental energy, and its bright blood was suffused with a faint golden glow. It didn't take long for Chu Hen to collect a full bottle of the lava beast's blood essence, and then he extracted the lava beast's beast core. The lava beast's entire body was a treasure, but it was too huge. Even though Chu Hen had quite a few storage treasures in his possession, none of them could contain the lava beast's treasures. So, Chu Hen didn't intend to take the lava beast's corpse with him. Right when Chu Hen finished collecting the blood essence and beast core and was about to leave, a strange phenomenon drew his attention again. The lava beast's body was actually faintly emanating a soft golden light. The strands of light were very soft, and it was impossible to notice if one didn't look closely. Logically speaking, the lava beast was already dead, and its body shouldn't be emitting such obvious energy waves. Coupled with the lava beast's abnormal strength, there was definitely an extraordinary secret behind it. Chu Hen's curiosity was piqued. He placed his left palm on the lava beast's body, and his true inner force floated out of his body. His perception spread out and he began to probe and search. His breathing was steady and he held his breath. After a short probing search, Chu Hen's eyes lit up. He had found something. There. Chu Hen's gaze swept across the lava beast's abdomen. He could clearly feel a strange and obscure energy wave in the lava beast's abdomen. Immediately, Chu Hen flashed to the lava beast's huge body, and he stabbed the limitless fang into its thick, rocky skin. Chi. Even though the lava beast was already dead, its skin was still shockingly hard. The thick, rocky skin was almost a meter thick, but the limitless fang was a treasure ranked 19th on the spiritual weapon ranking. It could cut through iron like mud, and it was still relatively easy to cut open the lava beast's flesh. After a while, the lava beast's huge stomach appeared in front of Chu Hen. That thing can't be in the lava beast's stomach, right? Chu Hen's brows furrowed slightly. After a moment of hesitation, Chu Hen wrapped the limitless fang with his true inner force, and then stabbed it into the huge stomach that was as big as a house. A pungent smell hit him in the face, followed by a crisp ding sound. Chu Hen only felt that the limitless fang had abruptly chopped on a hard material, and at the same time, a wave of restless energy traveled along the blade, and Chu Hen could feel it. Found that thing? Chu Hen's handsome brows raised, and a hint of anticipation appeared in his eyes. Chapter 429. That thing was hidden in the lava boulder beast's stomach. Chu Hen's heart lit up, and his eyes glowed with a faint light of anticipation. Hiss! The limitless tooth blossomed with a sharp blade edge, and in the next instant, the lava boulder beast's stomach was split open from the middle. Accompanied by a particularly pungent and sour smell, a sticky stomach acid mucus and undigested food appeared in front of Chu Hen. This was really not a good job. Chu Hen shook his head helplessly, then raised his eyebrows, and a black stone attracted his attention. It was a stone about 10 centimeters wide, completely black, like a piece of graphite. Buzz! Chu Hen released a wisp of true yuan and extracted the stone, then took out a clean piece of white cloth and held it in his palm. What was surprising was that once the black stone left the lava boulder beast's body, the soft light floating on the latter's corpse immediately disappeared. So this is the reason. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed and he thought to himself, if that was the case, the reason why the lava boulder beast had become so violent and powerful was most likely because of this strange stone. A moment later, on top of a rock, Chu Hen held the stone that he had wiped clean, and there was a hint of confusion between his eyebrows. This stone was very irregular, and the edges and corners were relatively clear and sharp. After careful observation, Chu Hen came to the conclusion that this thing was most likely a fragment of an item. As for what it was not yet possible to make a conclusion. Then, an obscure pattern on the surface of the black stone attracted Chu Hen's attention. Then, a second, a third, the pattern was reflected in Chu Hen's eyes. These patterns were dark gold in color, and because the stone was pure black, it would be very difficult to notice these patterns without careful observation. Is it a rune? Chu Hen muttered to himself. If it was a rune, then he was a bit speechless, because Chu Hen didn't recognize any of the lines on it. Immediately, he separated a wisp of true core strength from his fingertip and tried to integrate it into the stone. However, as soon as the true core strength touched the stone, it was blocked by an invisible force and could not enter at all. Then Chu Hen released the power of his demon eyes. His pitch-black eyes quietly surged with a demonic purple color. Under the detection of the demon eye, the internal structure of the strange stone appeared in front of Chu Hen. This is? The interior of the stone contained numerous complicated and mysterious lines. Within these strange symbols was a cluster of grayish-golden light. An obscure energy fluctuation was transmitted from the cluster of light, giving one a firm feeling that could not be seen through. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. Even demons, I couldn't see through what that ball of golden light was. The reason could be that the level of the demon I holy body was still relatively low, and its power was not enough. Or maybe this thing had a great origin and contained unknown secrets that people could not pry into. After studying it for a long time, Chu Hen still couldn't figure it out, so he just ignored it for the time being. I'll take it back first, and slowly study it after the exam. Chu Hen thought to himself. To be able to make a level 1 lava rock beast burst out with power that exceeded a level 3 beast king, it was enough to show that this was not an ordinary item. As for why it was in the belly of the lava rock beast, it was most likely that the beast had accidentally swallowed it. Forget it, let's go to the exam transfer station first. Immediately, Chu Hen put the black stone into his storage ring, then took out the mission scroll. After finding the coordinates of the transfer station, he stepped into the air and flew in a certain direction. About half an hour later, Chu Hen arrived at the test transfer station. The transfer station was located halfway up a mountain. A few large, antique pavilions stood there, connected by long corridors. The red stone pillars had lost their original bright color under the corrosion of time. The center of the pavilions was surrounded by a garden, but there were no flowers in the garden, only weeds. A woman in her 30s stood in the pavilion in the garden. In front of her was a square table, and on the table was a pile of unopened scrolls. This time, Chu Hen was not the first to complete the mission. There were a few people in front of him who were handing in their missions. After all, they had spent a lot of time searching for the lava rock beast, and studying the black stone had also taken up some time. Of course, it didn't matter who was first or second, as long as they could complete the mission. However, the arrival of Chu Hen attracted the attention of a few people in front of him. Everyone looked at him in surprise. However, there was no one among them that Chu Hen knew, so there was no communication to speak of. Soon, the few people in front of him had completed their missions. When it was Chu Hen's turn, the middle-aged woman calmly repeated what she had said before. "Give me the mission scroll." Chu Hen handed the scroll to her. "Did you get the lava rock beast's blood essence?" "Yes." Chu Hen nodded and handed the transparent glass bottle of red liquid to the woman. The latter took it, opened the bottle, and checked it carefully. It was easy to fake a mission like hunting for the blood essence of a demon. After all, the blood looked the same. It was hard to guarantee that no one would use the blood essence of another demon to pass the mission. "That's right, it's the lava rock beast's blood essence. Congratulations on becoming an inner sect disciple." There was a hint of admiration in the middle-aged woman's voice. After all, among the official disciples, there were not many who could kill a level 1 beast king like the lava rock beast. If she knew that the lava rock beast that Chu Hen killed was a level 3 beast king, she would be even more surprised. An inner court disciple. This meant that Chu Hen had advanced from an ordinary disciple to the middle ranks of the pyramid. He would be able to enjoy good treatment and fostering in the Thousand Crane sect. "What's your name?" "Chu Hen." "Oh." The woman's eyes lit up slightly. Just like the man at the first transfer station, she was slightly surprised. "Haha, with your ability, you can directly participate in the Hall Disciple competition." Chu Hen smiled and said, "It's better to follow the procedure." "You're very good." The woman praised, and then she withdrew a golden book and found Chu Hen's name on it. She tapped it lightly with the tip of her finger, and Chu Hen's name lit up and flickered with faint golden light. "Do I accept a new mission? Or do I return to the Thousand Crane sect?" The woman felt like she was asking too many questions after she finished speaking. Without waiting for Chu Hen to reply, he pointed at the square table not far away from them. "Choose a mission scroll yourself." Chu Hen smiled, faintly smiled, and shook his head. He casually took a scroll, opened it, and glanced at it. The middle-aged woman didn't ask Chu Hen what the mission was about. Next is the test to become a Hall disciple. The test will officially begin in approximately 2 hours. At that time, the older generation of inner court disciples of our sect will also participate. You might meet them during the process of the test. Chu Hen opened his eyes slightly. It had been 4 hours before, and now it was 2 hours. However, he was the first to complete the mission before. This time, it wasn't him. The time difference in the test was only based on the first disciple to enter the next round. That was why it was different from before. I understand, Chu Hen replied. Since you're a newcomer this year, I have to remind you. Go on. The middle-aged woman looked straight at Chu Hen and said seriously, the palace disciples are the elite talents of the sect. Every palace disciple has a good standard in all aspects. So, the difficulty of the mission that inner sect disciples have to complete to break through to the palace disciple realm is extremely high. Apart from dealing with all kinds of unexpected situations, you also have to be careful of your own people. Be careful of your own people? Chu Hen was stunned. He looked at the woman in confusion and asked, What do you mean? Figure it out yourself. I won't say anything else. Chu Hen felt a little helpless. Sometimes, the most frustrating thing was to not finish what one wanted to say. Then, Chu Hen left the test transfer station and flew to the next test site. As the test site for inner disciples to become a Hall disciple, this area was deep in the jungle of Mount Mang. The monsters that appeared here were of very high levels. Beast kings of level 1 and above appeared more frequently. Moreover, there were poisonous fog, poisonous insects, snakes, and ants everywhere. Chu Hen was still thinking about the words that the middle-aged woman had just said. However, at this moment, Chu Hen could roughly guess what she was referring to. The so-called be careful of your own people was most likely referring to the fact that many of the missions here were repeated. A few people, or even more than a dozen people, received the same kind of mission then. When the resources to complete the mission were relatively small, there would be a situation where people would compete with each other. Furthermore, the mission assessment only recognized the scroll, not the person. For example, if one completed the mission, but someone else did not, then someone else could forcefully snatch the scroll and the results of the mission before one reached the transfer station. In order to become a Hall disciple, people would definitely think of all kinds of ways to climb up. Of course, he believed that no one would dare to snatch Chu Hen's scroll and the results of the mission. Then, Chu Hen opened the scroll in his hand again. Similarly, there was a new map and new mission instructions. Obtain at least 3 thunder cherry grasses. Thunder cherry grasses. The corners of Chu Hen's eyes slightly narrowed. To be honest, he had only heard of the name of this grass, but he had never seen it before. It was said that it was a kind of strange material that contained the power of thunder and lightning. Each thunder cherry grass was sold for more than 100,000 high-grade crystals, and it was often priceless. The main thing was that he did not know what the thunder cherry grasses looked like, so it was somewhat difficult for Chu Hen. Chapter 430. Blackwater River, Thunderclap Region. The Darkwing Flood Dragon and Sakura Grass. This was the answer Chu Hen obtained from a few inner court disciples of the Thousand Crane sect after he failed to find any thunder sakura grass. In the southwest direction of the Mang Mountain Forest, there was a black water river. The Black Water River was shrouded in a thunder domain all year round. There grew a peculiar thunder-attributed flower called the thunder primrose grass. However, the Darkwing Flood Dragon was referring to a formidable ferocious beast called the Darkwing Black Flood Dragon that resided within the Blackwater River. Even an immature Darkwing Flood Dragon possessed a strength no inferior to a rank 2 Beast King, and an adult Darkwing Flood Dragon could even attain rank 3 or 4. It was even to the extent that some rather fortunate Darkwing Flood Dragons could break through to become high-rank Beast Kings. Based on this, it seemed like it was quite dangerous to complete this test. Of course, this proved that the palace disciples of the Thousand Crane sect were of comparatively higher quality. Chu Hen arrived at the Blackwater River according to the guidance of the others. It was grand and surged with waves. The Blackwater River was a vast and wide river that passed through the mountains. It flowed through the peaks of the mountains and forests, and it was rather imposing. Just as he'd heard earlier, the area where the Blackwater River resided was enveloped by a lightning region all year round. A dense expanse of dark clouds blotted out the sky, and it was gloomy as if it was pressing down upon the sky. It gave others an uneasy feeling that they would be able to touch the clouds if they raised their heads, and they were worried that it would collapse at any moment. Lightning interweaved amidst the extremely gloomy clouds, and the dense bolts of lightning were like silver snakes that flicked their tongues incessantly. Lightning interweaved while thunder rumbled. Boundless destructive and violent aura filled this expanse of space. The sky where lightning interweaved formed a contrast with the mountains and rivers below. The Blackwater River wasn't black at all, but it revealed a gloomy and cold dark color when it was enveloped by the gloomy and dark clouds. The sky above the Blackwater River was similarly covered by an area of lightning, and bolts of lightning shot down like the rage of the god of lightning. At this moment, Chu Hen was on a verdant mountain range. The banks of the Blackwater River were a few tens of meters ahead. The riverbed of the Black River was about 100 meters wide. On the opposite side of the river was a majestic mountain peak. The peak of the mountain range was connected to the dark clouds that covered the sky. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. It was like a forbidden zone of death, causing people to look at it from afar, not daring to approach it, and even more so, not daring to cross it. Where does the thunder cherry grass grow? Chu Hen's eyebrows slightly wrinkled as he softly muttered to himself. At this moment, a loud noise entered Chu Hen's ears. It was the sound of the crowd talking. Chu Hen's figure moved, flashing to the back of another mountain. Then, a dozen young figures appeared in his line of sight. Li Nanhai? Chu Hen's eyelids lifted as he felt a little surprised. Li Nanhai and Ji Seer, whom he knew, were among the group of people. They were both standing on the banks of the Blackwater River, their expressions solemn as they gazed at the towering mountain on the other side of the river. Were these people all here for the thunder primrose grass? Chu Hen thought to himself. Then, his gaze swept across the mountain on the other side of the river. As he focused, his eyes lit up. He saw that a few tens of meters above the mountain peak, there was a dark-colored lawn, and there was a strange grass growing on the lawn. The grass was light green, and its color was clearly brighter than the flowers and plants around it. It looked a little like a sakura flower, and its petals were in full bloom with faint silver electric arcs flowing. From afar, it looked like the stars in the night sky. Although he had never seen the thunder cherry grass before, Chu Hen was almost certain that it was what he was looking for. At the same time, Li Nanhai, Ji Seer, and the others who were on the banks of the river seemed to be having a discussion. Hey Li Nanhai, I think you should go back as soon as possible. With your strength, you won't be able to get the thunder cherry grass. The one who spoke was a fair-skinned young man with a pair of triangular eyes. Regardless of whether it was his tone or his gaze, there was a trace of contempt. Li Nanhai frowned and replied in a low voice, Jingrong, I don't like hearing such words from you. Since everyone's goal is to become a hall disciple, why do you have to undermine others' confidence? Hee, I'm not trying to undermine you. I'm just advising you not to waste time here and think of other ways. Even if I can't get the thunder cherry grass, do you, Jingrong, have the ability? Li Nanhai retorted without holding back. Jingrong crossed his arms in front of him, looking a little proud. I naturally have a way. Oh! As soon as he said this, everyone looked at him with questioning gazes. Jingrong raised his brows and looked at the sky above the Black River. I've carefully observed for a while, and it's not that there's no way to cross this Black River. What way? Hurry up and say it. Don't keep us in suspense. An impatient young man said. Jingrong smiled faintly. It's very simple. You guys will use the lightning attracting technique to transfer the power of the lightning to your weapons. Then, the fastest person will fly to the other side and pick the thunder primrose grass to rush back. A person with such speed? Everyone was stunned. That impatient young man said, "Aren't you the fastest person here?" Jingrong was even more proud. He smiled. "That's right, I need you guys to cooperate with me. After I get the thunder cherry grass, I'll split it with you guys." "But, he must be excluded," Jingrong pointed at Li Nanhai. What? Everyone was stunned. Wasn't this isolating Li Nanhai? Everyone couldn't help but hesitate. After all, they were all from the same sect. Even if they didn't lower their heads, they would still see each other. Li Nanhai sneered. "Humph, Jingrong, don't talk nonsense here. Don't think too highly of yourself. Even if you didn't say anything, I wouldn't cooperate with a narrow-minded person like you." "Hee, that's what you said. If you had begged me just now, I might have taken back what I said before. Now let me tell you clearly. You will never have the chance to become a Hall disciple in this lifetime. You!" Li Nanhai clenched his fist. The veins on his forehead bulged. "What? Do you want to fight? Let's fight. I'm a coward if I'm afraid of you, that's enough. Stop arguing. Jingrong, I'll cooperate with you." That impatient young man took the initiative to express his stance. "I agree too. I'll cooperate with you." Apart from Ji Seer, the rest of the people stood on Jingrong's side. After all, the position of a Hall disciple was too tempting for them. Rather than wasting time here, it was better to get the thunder cherry grass and complete the test as soon as possible. "Junior Sister Seer, what about you?" Jingrong smiled playfully. Ji Seer frowned slightly and pouted unhappily. "Why do you care?" Seeing that Ji Seer was on his side, Li Nanhai felt more or less comforted. Among the dozen people in front of him, there was no lack of people who were close to him. However, all of them were helping Jingrong to exclude him in order to become a Hall disciple. This made Li Nanhai feel bad. However, he did not reveal his depressed feelings. He did not want to lower his head in front of Jingrong. "Humph!" Jingrong snorted. "I gave you a chance, but you didn't want it." With that, Jingrong looked back at the people behind him and said, "I'll make a plan. All of you have to listen carefully. This is not a joke." Everyone nodded, and they all revealed expressions of caution and anticipation. "Tsk, be careful of being struck by lightning," Ji Seer scolded softly. Then, she looked back at Li Nanhai and said, "Senior Brotherly, don't lower yourself to their level. Even if you can't become a Hall disciple this year, there's still next year. If you can't become a Hall disciple next year, there's still the year after. The sect will definitely see your hard work. One day we will definitely be able to enter the Hall." Li Nanhai's heart warmed slightly. He nodded firmly. "I will." Chu Hen, who was hidden in the dark, quietly watched the scene in front of him. He had no intention of showing himself immediately. He also wanted to see how Jingrong would pass through the lightning region above the Blackwater River and pick the thunder primrose grass. To be honest, this test was very challenging for ordinary inner sect disciples. However, in Chu Hen's eyes, it did not seem too difficult. After a while, Jingrong and the others finished their discussion. Everyone's faces were filled with confidence. "Do you all understand your roles? There's no need for me to repeat it, right?" Jingrong said. "Don't worry. You can leave such a small matter to us," one of them replied. After all, they were all inner sect disciples. Whether it was talent or ability, they were more outstanding in all aspects. "Very good. When I say start, all of you will move immediately, okay?" Everyone nodded their heads and took out their respective weapons one after another. Vigorous true essence poured into their weapons, and a variety of dazzling colors blossomed from within. The Blackwater River seemed to be able to sense the provocation of the people in front of it. The waves rolled and the black tide stacked up. In the sky, powerful lightning pillars were constantly shot out. Rumble! The mighty power of wind and thunder was like an army of thousands of men and horses galloping. No one dared to take even half a step forward. Needless to say, Xingrong was quite courageous. There was not the slightest hint of fear on his face. He glanced sideways at Li Nanhai, and his lips curled into a frivolous smile. He watch carefully. Move! Rumble. As soon as the word move was uttered, the dozen or so people beside Xingrong all unleashed a surging aura. Each of their eyes revealed a sharp glint. Without saying a word, they threw their weapons toward the sky above the Blackwater River. Chapter 431. Boom! When everyone threw the weapons in their hands into the air above the Black River, the aura in Xingrong's body suddenly surged. His figure moved and he shot out like a streak of light towards the other side of the river. Clang! However, as soon as he entered the vicinity of the Black River, the lightning that enveloped the sky immediately set off an extremely violent power. In an instant, more than a dozen terrifying lightning bolts that were as thick as water tanks descended from the sky. The vast destructive aura all whistled down, and the space seemed to tremble endlessly. Xingrong frowned and shouted sternly, "Activate the lightning attracting technique." Understood. Everyone's eyes turned cold, but they were already prepared. A powerful aura exploded from their bodies. The Yuan Dan in their bodies rotated rapidly, and surging true origin energy was continuously released. Buzz! Immediately, the dozen weapons that flew above the Black River all shone brightly. Swords, spears, swords, and halberds released a strong wave of energy. Under everyone's control, more than a dozen weapons floated dozens of meters above Xingrong. They were divided into 8 directions and spun rapidly like a lantern. The originally chaotic airflow of heaven and earth became even more rapid and violent. Brilliant light patterns blossomed from those weapons, connecting head to tail, front to back, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a strange formation with a diameter of more than 50 meters. However, at the same time, more than a dozen powerful lightning bolts that were as thick as water tanks shot over. They were so powerful and fast that it made everyone's scalp tingle. Lightning attracting technique, activate. Everyone shouted in unison. Buzz! Just a second before the dozen lightning bolts were about to hit Xingrong, the beautiful formation actually set off a powerful traction force. The lightning bolts that were supposed to strike Xingrong changed their trajectory and bombarded the formation. A deafening sound exploded in the sky. The incomparably powerful thunder and lightning blossomed like fireworks, turning into silver arcs that filled the sky. They spread out along the lines of the lightning attracting formation and quickly entered the dozen or so weapons. Chi. The concentrated power of thunder and lightning covered all the weapons, like silver snakes coiling around them, emitting an extremely restless aura. The bodies of the dozen-plus people on the riverbank trembled slightly. They actually faintly felt that they were unable to control the impact of this powerful lightning force. Xingrong, hurry up. The power of this lightning is too strong. We can't hold on for long. One of the men shouted. I know. Xingrong did not hesitate in the slightest. After all, he was the one who was beneath the thunder dominion. Even if he was just a small step slower, it could bring about devastating damage to him. Swish! Xingrong increased his speed to the maximum. The rapid and chaotic airflow whistled in his ears. He immediately crossed the 100-meter-wide river bank and successfully reached the mountain wall on the other side. This method was feasible. Everyone's eyes lit up. Li Nanhai and GC also faintly revealed some emotions on their faces. Although they didn't want to see the other party succeed, it was undeniable that Xingrong's ability was indeed stronger than Li Nanhai's. Rumble. Following that, more than 20 menacing lightning pillars struck down in a row. Whether it was speed or momentum, this round of power far surpassed the first round of attack. The dark sky of the Blackwater River zone was instantly illuminated incomparably bright. Clang! An incomparably loud sound rang out. The lightning-attracting formation suspended in the sky above the water zone once again suffered an extremely powerful impact. The entire void trembled violently. The traction of the lightning-attracting technique once again guided the power over, and through the formation runes, it was sent to the dozen or so weapons around it. Dazzling lightning quickly climbed up those weapons. Their entire bodies were covered in lightning and crackling sounds could be heard. Gotcha! Suddenly, dense cracks appeared on the bodies of one of the sharp swords and one of the broadswords. Under the impact of this violent power, the two weapons seemed to be unable to withstand the bombardment of this destructive energy. The owners of the two weapons trembled violently. Their faces became as pale as paper. At the same time, the blood in their bodies surged, and a faint trace of blood flowed from the corner of their mouths. Not good, the two of them can't hold on any longer. Hang in there! Jingrong, hurry up! Everyone was extremely anxious, and their brows were knit together like two dead silkworms. The lightning-attracting technique used their weapons as a support, and everyone's strength was linked to their weapons. Once their weapons couldn't hold on any longer, they would be affected as well. However, they'd underestimated the destructive power of the lightning. However, as inner court disciples of the Thousand Crane sect, they weren't too weak. The others erupted with powerful auras once more, and they ceaselessly released their true origin energy to stabilize the lightning-attracting formation with all their might. Jingrong's expression changed repeatedly when he saw this, and then a cold look flashed through his eyes. He hurriedly flashed over to the lawn where the thunder cherry grass grew, and then a powerful suction force erupted from his palm. After that, the thunder cherry grass instantly left the ground and fell into Jingrong's hand. Jingrong's heart thumped violently when he obtained the thunder cherry grass, and his eyes were filled with wild joy. Right at this moment, an icy cold wave swept over. In the sky, the third wave of violent lightning was silently brewing with a monstrous aura that struck terror into the hearts of all. Let's go. Jingrong practically didn't hesitate at all. He turned around and immediately returned the way he came from as quickly as he could. Rumble! The sky dimmed down as thunder rumbled. Black waters surged, and huge waves surged into the sky. In the blink of an eye, the third wave of destructive energy swept through the sky above the surging dark clouds with a shocking might as it assaulted them. To everyone's surprise, there was only a single bolt of lightning this time, but it was black in color. It was extremely strange. Even though there was only a single bolt of black lightning that was over 10 meters wide, the aura it emanated was even more shocking than the previous two waves. Bang! Immediately after, the incomparably furious black lightning struck the center of the lightning-attracting formation. A heavy explosion shook the heavens, and it caused everyone's eardrums to hurt. Light intersected with each other as boundless impact swept down. The lightning energy that covered the sky dispersed, and the lightning-attracting formation was blasted apart on the spot. What? Everyone's expressions changed drastically. The ferocious aftershock swept out in all directions, and then the weapons were blasted into pieces and flew about in all directions. Among them, there were even a few low-level weapons that exploded into pieces that filled the sky. Bang, bang, the dozen people on the riverbank were also affected. More than half of them spat out blood and fell backward. The remaining few people's faces were dark red, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Swoosh! Jingrong took advantage of this opportunity and left several afterimages in the air. Finally, he returned to the riverbank without any mishap. He had succeeded in the end, although the price he had to pay was relatively high. Chu Hen, who was hidden in the dark, saw everything that had just happened. He secretly nodded in his heart. He had to admit that these people had some ability. However, Chu Hen was more concerned about the third bolt of black lightning that struck down. Its power was indeed shocking. You've worked hard, everyone. Jingrong had a complacent smile on his face. Tisk, what's there to be proud of? Ji Seer, who was standing beside Li Nanhai, rolled her eyes at him. The others were in a more difficult situation, and their faces were all gloomy. Everyone's weapons had been blasted away, and more than half of them were seriously injured. It was really unpleasant. On second thought, it was worth it to complete the test and become a hall disciple with the thunder cherry grass. "Give us the thunder cherry grass," one of them said in a low voice. Hee. Jingrong smiled and glanced at Li Nanhai with disdain. Then, he took out a bunch of beautiful thunder cherry grass flowing with silver lightning patterns and placed it in front of everyone as if he was showing off. Everyone's eyes lit up at first, but then they all frowned. Why is there so little? How many people can share it? The impatient young man asked. Jingrong only had a dozen thunder cherry grass in his hands, and it was not enough for each person. Moreover, if they wanted to complete the test this time, they would need at least 3 thunder cherry grass. "I only got this much." Jingrong's voice carried a hint of disdain. Then, he took 3 of the thunder cherry grass and handed the rest to everyone. "Take it and share it." "What do you mean? Didn't we agree before that we will help you divert the lightning, and you will help us pick the thunder cherry grass? Are you trying to trick us with this little thing?" "That's right, you must help us gather all the thunder cherry grass." "Jingrong, don't go back on your words." Everyone was somewhat annoyed. After all, in order to create an opportunity for Jingrong, not only were they seriously injured, even their weapons were destroyed. After paying such a high price, they still couldn't gather all the thunder cherry grass. Wasn't this going too far? However, Jingrong did not look embarrassed at all. Facing the injured people, Jingrong did not put them in his eyes at all. He laughed coldly. You guys saw it just now. It's not that I don't want to help you gather all the thunder cherry grass, but I can only get this much. It's impossible for me to go over. Whether you want the thunder cherry grass or not, and how you want to distribute it, it's up to you. I can't care about anything else." Jingrong directly cut him off. To put it simply, he only wanted the thunder cherry grass, and he would think of a way to get the rest. Everyone's expression turned even more gloomy, and at the same time, the atmosphere became extremely strange. After a short silence, the young man closest to Jingrong reached out and grabbed the thunder cherry grass in his hand. Chapter 432. "I want 3 of them." After a strange silence, the young man who was closest to Jingrong reached out for the thunder cherry grass in Jingrong's hand. However, before he could even touch the thunder cherry grass, the other person next to him scolded coldly. What right do you have to take 3 of them? Each of us contributed as much as you did." Who do you think you are? Do you think you're qualified to lecture me? I'm taking the thunder cherry grass today. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The moment the 2 of them disagreed, a powerful and restless aura erupted from their bodies. Without any hesitation, they sent out palm energies toward each other. Bang! When the 4 palms collided, a chaotic airflow burst out and the scattered true origin energy spread wantonly to the surroundings. The other people also took the opportunity to reach for the thunder cherry grass in Jingrong's hand. Each of them had a ruthless expression like a hungry wolf. All of you, get lost. CK off. The thunder cherry grass is mine. Everyone could not come to an agreement and decided to use violence to solve the problem. Jingrong sneered and glanced at them mockingly. Then, he threw the few thunder cherry grass in his hand into the air. You guys fight for it yourselves. I'm not going to accompany all of you. After saying that, Jingrong's figure moved and he retreated from the chaotic battlefield. Looking at the thunder cherry grasses that were scattered in the sky, everyone's eyes glowed red. They immediately ignored their injuries and began to fight for the thunder cherry grasses. In an instant, the shore of the surging black water river had already sunk into an intense chaotic battle. Powerful true origin and dazzling lights collided wantonly like rainbows. Dust flew up and rocks flew everywhere. The mighty momentum was not inferior to the power of the lightning net in the sky. Earlier, everyone was cooperating with each other, and had a clear division of labor. In just a blink of an eye, they were fighting because of the unequal distribution of benefit. Moreover, each of their moves was ruthless, showing no mercy at all. Soon, a few people who were more seriously injured could not hold on and were defeated. Bang! A young man with a weak build was sent flying dozens of meters by a tall and sturdy man. He heavily crashed into a huge rock, and scarlet blood continuously gushed out of his mouth. "Humph, you dare to snatch something from me? You're courting death." The burly man had a smug smile on his face as he snatched the thunder cherry grass. But before he could celebrate, an overbearing palm energy that was as powerful as a mountain hit his back. Bang! The man was caught off guard and was sent flying like a sandbag. His whole body trembled and blood gushed out of his mouth like a gush of water. "Stop fighting!" Li Nanhai and Ji Seer, who were watching from the sidelines, frowned in disbelief. These people were all disciples who had a good relationship with each other, and some of them had even gone through thick and thin together. He never expected that they would actually fight to the death for something like this. Since Li Nanhai's persuasion was futile, he tried to forcefully separate the crowd. However, before he could make a move, one of them raised his palm and blasted it towards him. Li Nanhai's expression changed, and he hurriedly retreated. The violent palm energy directly blasted a 10-meter-wide pit in the ground in front of him. "Don't even think about snatching my thunder cherry grass." That person glared fiercely at Li Nanhai. "You?" Li Nanhai was furious. He clenched his fists and frowned. "I'm not trying to snatch your thunder cherry grass. We're all disciples, why must we fight to the death?" Scram! The other party completely ignored Li Nanhai's kind words. Li Nanhai then turned his gaze towards Xingrong, who had retreated to a hillside. At this moment, Xingrong could be said to be proud of himself. He smiled playfully as he looked at the people fighting in front of him. From the beginning to the end, Xingrong was the only one who had the upper hand. Everyone else was being used by the other party. "Xingrong, how can you still laugh?" Li Nanhai angrily rebuked. Xingrong sneered disdainfully. What do you have to say?" This is all because of you. You've achieved your goal, and now you want to stay out of it?" Then, Li Nanhai turned his gaze to the rest and shouted, "You've all been used by Xingrong. He only cares about himself after obtaining the thunder cherry grass, and he doesn't care about you at all. Now you're fighting among yourselves. How foolish of you!" You're the one who's the most foolish." Xingrong didn't care at all. His strength was the highest among the group, and almost everyone was injured. No one dared to challenge him, let alone snatch the thunder primrose grass from his hands. Even if everyone calmed down and waited for their injuries to recover before arguing with Xingrong. But by then, Xingrong would already be a Hall disciple. With his status and the generous treatment he received from the sect, Xingrong would quickly distance himself from them in all aspects. Therefore, everyone knew very well that there was nothing they could do to Xingrong. Since there was no other way, they could only fight for the opportunity to become a Hall disciple from the few thunder cherry grasses. "Senior brotherly, don't bother about this." Ji understood Li Nanhai and knew that he was a good person. Otherwise, with his current state, he could directly snatch 3 thunder cherry grasses from those people. However, not only did Li Nanhai not do so, but he also tried his best to dissuade them. This was enough to show his character. Whether they live or die, they asked for it. Ji complained. Li Nanhai sighed helplessly. Looking at the increasingly chaotic situation, he finally shook his head. "Forget it, let's go." "Okay." Ji nodded. "This time, we'll go back and cultivate even harder. We'll continue the assessment next year." Li Nanhai laughed bitterly in a self-deprecating manner. He did not say anything more and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, a chuckle with a hint of flirtatious indifference was heard. Senior brotherly, you're really not suitable to become a Hall disciple, you?" Li Nanhai's eyebrows furrowed at first, but quickly lifted. His eyes brightened as he said, Junior brother Chu-hen? Why are you here? What? Chu-hen? Hearing these two words, the people who were fighting for the thunder cherry grasses were instantly shocked. Chu-hen smiled and said, Naturally, I'm here to complete the task. What's your task? Thunder cherry grasses. Hua! As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed. Their eyes were filled with fear and vigilance. Jingrong, who was on the other side, could not help but clench his fists with a solemn look in his eyes. Chu-hen's strength was something that everyone present was extremely clear about. He defeated Meng Hong, who was ranked third in the hall, with a single illusion. Chu-hen's cultivation was so strong that even if everyone present were to work together, they would not be his opponent. If he wanted to snatch the thunder primrose grass, even Zheng Rong's portion would be spat out. However, Chu-hen did not even look at Zheng Rong and the rest. He only looked at Li Nanhai and G.C. and said, If the two of you work together, you'll be able to obtain 6 thunder cherry grasses. The opportunity to become a hall disciple is right in front of you, but you want to turn around and leave. Even I can't stand this good guy anymore. Li Nanhai was a little embarrassed. I just want to become a hall disciple with my own strength. But if you entered the hall a year earlier, the improvement in your cultivation would be much greater than if you continued to be an inner disciple. When it's time to be ruthless, you still have to be ruthless. What do you think? Li Nanhai was a little hesitant. After a short moment of hesitation, he still shook his head. I have ruthlessness, but that's against my enemies. I really can't do it to my own people. After listening to Li Nanhai's answer, Chu-hen smiled. He had to admit that Li Nanhai was a very frank and straightforward person. Although he was a little promiscuous, this kind of person was not annoying. All right, I'll help you this time. What? Li Nanhai was stunned. Chu-hen smiled and stepped forward to pat Li Nanhai's shoulder. Then, his figure moved and disappeared like a phantom. He directly turned into a stream of light and flew toward the area above the Black River. Everyone's heart followed Chu-hen's movement and was startled. However, when they saw that Chu-hen did not come for them, they slightly breathed a sigh of relief. Rumble! As soon as Chu-hen arrived above the Black River, huge waves immediately piled up, and fierce winds wreaked havoc. High up in the sky, surging dark clouds flickered with lightning. In the next moment, dozens of incomparably berserk bolts of lightning, with earth-shattering power, came down vertically and struck towards Chu-hen. The incomparably powerful destructive aura pressed down like a mountain, giving people the feeling that the sky was about to collapse. However, there was not the slightest hint of fear on Chu-hen's face. His fierce eyes narrowed, and with a move of his palm, a strange blue rune condensed in his hand. Water Curse Seal, Chu-hen shouted in his mind. Boom! In an instant, a huge water ball with a diameter of more than 50 meters immediately appeared in the area above Chu-hen. Within the water ball, a soft light flickered, and restless energy fluctuations were like the undercurrents of the deep sea, obscure and powerful, clang. Then, the dozens of lightning bolts as thick as water tanks all bombarded the huge water ball. The extremely powerful destructive force immediately dispersed, and dense lightning arcs rapidly spread out on the surface of the water ball like a light net. Zap zap! Crisscrossing electric patterns covered the water ball, and the crystal-clear water ball shone brilliantly. From a distance, it looked like there were countless small silver snakes swimming inside, and the dazzling brilliance illuminated the chaotic sky. Everyone on the river bank widened their eyes, and their faces were filled with deep astonishment. How could he block the impact of the lightning so easily? Chapter 433. Qi Jingrong, Li Nanhai, G.C. and the others on the riverbank were all stunned as they stared at the huge water ball covered in lightning patterns hovering above the Blackwater River. They never imagined that Chu-hen would be able to block the impact of so many lightning bolts all by himself. It was no coincidence that he was able to defeat Meng Hong so easily. The huge water ball gathered an astonishing amount of berserk power. Lightning crackled as it crisscrossed. The dazzling splendor illuminated everyone's faces, and the incomparably restless energy seemed like it would explode at any moment. Chu Hen's strength had already reached the void-piercing realm, and he could already control the power of runes and seals to the point of perfection, allowing him to unleash his power to its strongest state. However, Chu Hen did not pay too much attention to the situation in the sky. He was not the slightest bit worried that the water ball could withstand the berserk impact of the lightning bolt. He directly flew towards the huge mountain on the other side of the river. Chu Hen was extremely fast, and he arrived in front of the thunder primrose grass in an instant. However, right at this moment, a huge wave suddenly rose from the black water river below. Boom! Along with the huge waves that soared into the sky, an incomparably cold and ruthless aura surged over without any warning. In the next instant, a huge and ferocious black shadow suddenly scuttled out of the Blackwater River. A violent gale rose, the sky changed color, and the air was filled with chilling sounds of wind and thunder. Oh my God! It's the Darkwing Black Serpent Dragon. The expressions of the people on the banks of the river changed drastically, and their eyes revealed a deep sense of dread. It was a black serpent that was more than 10 meters wide. Even though most of its body was hidden in the water, with only its upper body exposed, everyone could still sense its enormous beast body. Its sinister face was like a combination of a python and a giant crocodile. However, on its back there was a pair of giant bat wings. Chi-chi! Crisscrossing lightning covered the entire body of the black dragon. From afar, it looked like it was enveloped by a brilliant lightning net. It was extremely ferocious and domineering. Junior brother Chu Hen, be careful. This is an adult Darkwing Flood Dragon. It's a level 3 Beast King, Li Nanhai reminded him anxiously. A level 3 Beast King was an extremely dangerous existence to the people on the riverbank. However, even though the Black Flood Dragon had appeared in front of Chu Hen and exuded a mountain-like aura, Chu Hen did not show any signs of fear. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon let out an earth-shattering roar, and a powerful aura rushed towards Chu Hen. The water below him surged, as if it was boiling water. Clang! At the same time, the second wave of violent lightning power in the sky once again struck the water ball. Bang! Under the astonished gazes of everyone present, the water ball exploded. Silver light patterns that blotted the sky were like fireworks that had blossomed in an instant. Resplendent and dazzling brilliance blotted out the sun, filling everyone's eyes. A chaotic and berserk aura surged into the sky wantonly. Together with the Darkwing Flood Dragon's aura, the entire Blackwater River seemed to have been swept up by a fierce hurricane. Under the pincer attack of the two forces, Chu Hen immediately released circles of golden-red, illusory flames. The gorgeous illusory flames lingered around his entire body, but Chu Hen's clothes only trembled. His figure was still as steady as Mount Tai as he proudly stood where he was. However, at almost the same time, the Darkwing Flood Dragon opened its giant mouth, and a particularly astonishing suction force erupted from within. Everyone had thought that the Darkwing Flood Dragon would attack Chu Hen. But surprisingly, it was targeting the thunder primrose grass growing on the cliffs. Rumble, under the powerful suction force, a large swath of thunder primrose grass was directly uprooted, like a school of fish and shrimp being sucked into the Darkwing Flood Dragon's giant mouth. In just the blink of an eye, almost all the thunder primrose grass in front of everyone was devoured by the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Chu Hen was slightly surprised. This guy's goal was actually the thunder primrose grass as well. But then again, it wasn't that strange. The Darkwing Flood Dragon was originally a lightning attribute fierce beast, and the thunder primrose grass contained astonishing lightning power. It was likely that the Darkwing Flood Dragon had been feeding on the thunder primrose grass to increase its cultivation. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon let out a deep roar, as if mocking Chu Hen. Its huge crocodile-like eyes revealed a human-like disdain. Immediately, it ignored Chu-Hen. Swaying its huge body, it dived into the water. Overturning the river, it set off layers upon layers of water waves and disappeared from everyone's sight. Less than 10 seconds had passed since the start of the battle. From the moment the Darkwing Flood Dragon came out to the moment it left, all the Thunder Primrose grass was gone in the blink of an eye. Seeing this situation, Jing Rong and the others on the riverbank became nervous again. All the Thunder Primrose grass had been devoured by the Darkwing Flood Dragon. In order to complete the mission, Chu-Hen would definitely snatch the fruits of the mission from them. Just based on what Chu-Hen said to Li Nanhai, when it's time to be ruthless, you must be ruthless. It was enough to prove that the other party was definitely not a good person. However, it seemed that everyone was overthinking. From beginning to end, Chu-Hen's expression didn't change much. Looking at the wantonly churning water below, the corners of his mouth curved into a cold smile. I don't have any objections to you feeding on the Thunder Primrose grass, but at least leave some for me. After muttering to himself, Chu-Hen's body moved. Without saying anything else, he also dived into the icy cold water. Li Nanhai wanted to dissuade him, but before he could open his mouth, the other party had already disappeared without a trace. The people on the riverbank looked at each other, all of them reading the astonishment in each other's eyes. This was truly a bold move. Chasing after the Darkwing Flood Dragon in the Blackwater River was truly playing with his life. Buzz, buzz. In the depths of the ice-cold Blackwater River, the Darkwing Flood Dragon dove deeper and deeper into the water. Chu-Hen quickly chased after it. Of course, the golden light of the illusory flames enveloped Chu-Hen's entire body like a shield, isolating the attack of the undercurrent in the water. Chu-Hen's speed underwater wasn't the slightest bit slower than the Darkwing Flood Dragon. The two of them chased one after the other. The former was wreathed in lightning, while the latter was blazing with illusory flames. In the cold waters, they were like two streaks of light. The underwater region of the Blackwater River was much wider than it appeared from the outside. The bottomless waters were like a bottomless abyss. There were no other aquatic demonic beasts in the surrounding area. Presumably, this was the Darkwing Flood Dragon's territory. Under the suppression of a Beast King, other demonic beasts wouldn't dare approach. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon turned to face Chu-Hen and let out a sharp roar of warning. At the same time, the lightning runes covering its body began to stir restlessly. Under the refraction of the water, they flickered like cold lightning. It was very dazzling. Humph! Chu-Hen sneered frivolously. Today I'll make you spit out the Thunder Primrose grass you swallowed. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon was furious. If it hadn't sensed an indescribable aura emanating from Chu-Hen, it would have swallowed him without the slightest hesitation. It hadn't expected that Chu-Hen would still chase after it. It couldn't help but feel contempt for its dignity as a Beast King. Crackle! In the next instant, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body shone brightly. Overbearing lightning crisscrossed, forming a three-dimensional lightning net. Immediately after, countless pillars of lightning filled with a dense destructive aura attacked Chu-Hen with the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. The power of lightning was originally incomparably tyrannical, and its movement speed in the water was even more astonishing. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Chu-Hen. The densely packed light of lightning surged violently. Chu-Hen didn't dare be careless with the Darkwing Flood Dragon's strength. Especially in the water, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's strength was even greater. With a flash of white light, the limitless Fong appeared in his palm. With a wave of his hand, a sharp black saber light slashed out to meet the dense lightning. Bang! The two forces collided. Light patterns splashed everywhere. Vigorous true essence and lightning suddenly exploded in the water, and layers of air waves split the water apart. Chu-Hen's might was astonishing. After the black blade light shattered the lightning, its attack didn't decrease in the slightest as it continued slashing towards the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Boom! Caught off guard, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's tail was struck by the black saber light. A deep wound immediately spread out from his body, and his blood dyed the surrounding river a faint red. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon let out an angry roar. Its eyes revealed an ominous glint as it erupted with an even more powerful aura. Suddenly, Chu Hen's movement speed skyrocketed. Starlight radiated from his body. 1 flash, 2 flashes, 3 flashes, 10 flashes. Whoosh! 10 flashes. Accompanied by 10 dazzling rays of light, Chu Hen arrived in front of the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Waves of black light quickly swam up and down the blade. Chu Hen grasped the hilt of the saber with both hands and swung it. A saber light several times stronger than the previous one tore through the water and struck the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Hiss! A bloody wound split open on the Darkwing Flood Dragon's abdomen. A mournful scream came from the Darkwing Flood Dragon's mouth. Enraged, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's aura soared to the sky. The lightning patterns around its body grew thicker, and the power it exuded was even more astonishing. Chi! Chi! Countless bolts of lightning rapidly converged in the Darkwing Flood Dragon's mouth, condensing into an extremely dense ball of lightning. An extremely violent energy constantly erupted from the ball of lightning. In the next moment, the ball of lightning was like a bright star as it swept towards Chu Hen with terrifying might. Chu Hen's eyes flashed and his aura soared. Chapter 434. Boom! The dazzling purple light collided head-on with the resplendent ball of lightning. The shockingly powerful energy fluctuations immediately erupted from the bottom of the water. Dazzling lightning patterns spread out in all directions like a net of electricity. The bewitching purple light wasn't weak in the slightest, and its destructive power was like a flying arrow, unstoppable. In an instant, undercurrents surged in the water, surging with power. The chaotic turbulence quickly subsided, but to Chu Hen's surprise, the Darkwing Flood Dragon actually disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Escaped? Chu Hen was startled. When he saw the Darkwing Flood Dragon's overbearing appearance, he thought it was going to fight to the death with him. He didn't expect it to turn around and run away faster than a dog. Buzz! Chu Hen's purple eyes scanned the undercurrents in the water. Logically speaking, with the Darkwing Flood Dragon's speed, it shouldn't have been able to run so fast, especially after he injured it twice. In that case, there could only be one reason for the Darkwing Flood Dragon's disappearance. There was a hidden passage in the water. After a moment's hesitation, Chu Hen's figure flickered, and he continued diving down. Not long after, a dark passageway appeared under the detection of Chu Hen's demonic eyes. Chu Hen's heart lit up. Sure enough, there's another hidden passage. The passage was about as wide as the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body. From a distance, the pitch-black entrance looked like the gaping maw of a ferocious beast, as if it was waiting for its prey to come knocking on its door. It emitted a dense, chilling aura. The location of the passage was on the side of the mountain where the thunder primrose grass grew. When viewed from the outside, the mountain range looked extremely majestic, and the part under the water was as deep as the bottomless abyss of the canyon. After a brief hesitation, Chu Hen turned into a shadow and entered the passage. Whoosh! Chu Hen was especially cautious, practically sticking to the stone walls of the passage as he advanced. Condensed illusory flames enveloped his body, dazzling like a ring of stars. The interior of the passageway was quite spacious and sloped upwards. The deeper he went, the wider it became. About 200 meters in, Chu Hen left the water, and a strange cave appeared in front of him. The karst cave extended in all directions and covered a vast area. There were many pitch-black passageways. There were all kinds of oddly shaped rocks everywhere, and the ground was full of potholes and puddles of water. The oddly shaped rocks were jagged, and stalactites hung down from the ceiling like icicles under the eaves, sharp and peculiar. Where did he go? Chu Hen narrowed his eyes, his purple pupils faintly exuding a demonic aura. At a glance, there were 7 or 8 entrances of various sizes. Chu Hen held his breath and looked at each passageway in turn. Soon, he locked onto his target and stopped at the 4th passageway. The 4th passage wasn't the biggest. It was 10 meters wide, just enough for the Darkwing Flood Dragon to pass through. However, Chu Hen was certain that the main reason the other party had entered through here was because of the pool of blood on the stone wall. "You won't be able to escape this time." Whoosh! Chu Hen chased after it without the slightest hesitation. This passageway was rather winding and was built in the belly of the giant mountain. The deeper he went, the more bloodstains appeared on the stone wall. Chu Hen was already 100% sure that the Darkwing Flood Dragon had escaped inside. Chu Hen was secretly amazed. While he was a bit more vigilant, he was also a bit curious. Just what was going on inside the belly of the mountain? Where did this passageway lead to? Zap! Zap! Suddenly, several powerful bolts of lightning shot out from the front, accompanied by a burst of noise. "Heh, you still know how to mount a sneak attack?" Chu Hen sneered. The limitless tooth in his palm blossomed with a dense black light. The sharp edge of the blade directly welcomed the lightning pillar that was piercing towards him. Bang! The black saber was like a lightning rod, gathering the powerful power of lightning on the blade. Dense arcs of lightning wandered inside and outside the blade, exuding an extremely violent and restless power. In the next moment, strands of demonic purple light spread along the palm of Chu Hen's right hand, like a flame taking advantage of the situation, suppressing the restless power of lightning. Immediately, in the dark area dozens of meters ahead of the passageway, a pair of cold crocodile-like pupils confronted Chu Hen's purple eyes. From the initial disdain and contempt, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's eyes were now surging with a strong sense of coldness and fear. It really didn't expect that the human with only a rank 2 void-piercing realm cultivation base would be so difficult to deal with. In particular, the other party's pair of demonic purple eyes gave the Darkwing Flood Dragon a particularly dangerous aura. The Darkwing Flood Dragon once again issued a sharp warning, warning Chu Hen not to take even half a step forward. Chu Hen didn't care in the slightest. Since he had chased him here, there was no such thing as retreat. With momentum rising, Chu Hen rolled up a powerful flame and rushed toward the other party. The Darkwing Flood Dragon knew that it was not Chu Hen's opponent. After letting out a low roar again, it turned around and headed toward the rear area. Buzz! Endless black light quickly gathered on the limitless Fong, and a biting cold murderous aura erupted from Chu Hen's body. Feeling the dense aura of danger coming from behind, the Darkwing Flood Dragon panicked. He moved forward even faster, and at the same time, his entire body blossomed with extremely powerful silver lightning. It seemed as if he wanted to fight Chu Hen to the death. However, Chu Hen didn't intend to give the other party any time at all. The transcendent domineering aura crushed toward him. Limitless demonic slash. In a vast valley surrounded by mountains, thick dark clouds gathered in the sky above the 9 heavens. Suddenly, rumble! An incomparably heavy explosion rang out, sending rocks flying everywhere. From the belly of one of the mountain peaks, an especially violent and furious aura suddenly erupted. A flood dragon covered in lightning bolts was the first to charge out. Its face was fierce and its might was peerless. But then, a black saber light slashed out with the momentum of a meteor chasing after the moon. It swept up a powerful destructive aura and chopped down on the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body. Bang! A powerful black wave spread out, causing the space around it to tremble. The extremely destructive saber light broke through the Darkwing Flood Dragon's defenses like tofu, cutting through its thick scales and flesh, and shattering its spine. A mournful scream echoed through the sky. The Darkwing Flood Dragon fell from the sky like a water pipe, dazzling blood spraying everywhere. It struggled on the ground a few times, then stopped moving. Whoosh! Immediately, a silver stream of light flew out from the belly of the mountain and steadily landed next to the Darkwing Flood Dragon's corpse. Chu Hen's saber attack was extremely powerful. The Darkwing Flood Dragon with the strength of a level 3 Beast King could not withstand it. Its corpse was almost split in two, with only some broken bones and flesh still slightly connected. Next, what made Chu Hen flabbergasted was that at this moment, he actually entered an unfamiliar region. It was surrounded by mountains, and the towering peaks formed a vast valley. In the area above the valley, surging dark clouds surged, and countless crisscrossing lightning bolts almost enveloped the valley, like a lightning net that covered the sky. It was like a forbidden area. A terrifying forbidden area with lightning as a boundary. It seems that I've entered the Thunderclap territory? Chu Hen murmured softly. Outside the Thunderclap territory was a black river. The sky was covered with lightning, but surprisingly, there was a passage under the water that led inside. Thunder cherry grass? Suddenly, Chu Hen's eyes lit up. He found a large area of thunder cherry grass growing not far ahead. Following that, more and more thunder cherry grasses appeared in his line of sight. Soon, Chu Hen was surprised to discover that the entire valley was filled with thunder cherry grasses. The amount of thunder cherry grass he found outside was simply the tip of the iceberg compared to the amount in front of him. According to the price of one thunder cherry grass, it was worth nearly 100,000 upper-grade primordial crystal stones. The amount of thunder cherry grass in front of him was enough to make Chu Hen rich overnight. Of course, the reason why thunder cherry grass was so expensive outside was because it was relatively rare. There was often a price but no supply. Once there was a large quantity, the price would naturally drop due to the supply chain. Even so, such a large amount of thunder cherry grass was enough to make countless people's hearts beat faster. Strange. After a brief moment of surprise, Chu Hen frowned slightly. He looked at the Darkwing Flood Dragon's corpse in front of him and could not help but fall into deep thought. Since there was thunder cherry grass everywhere, why did the Darkwing Flood Dragon go outside to devour such a small amount of resources? Could it be that it was as simple as provoking humans? Chu Hen secretly shook his head, a hint of wariness surging between his brows. That's... Chu Hen raised his brows. Another scene in front of him attracted his attention. In the center of the valley there was a lake that was nearly 1,000 meters wide. In the center of the lake there was actually a spacious stone platform. The stone platform's level was relatively clear. It was about 300 meters wide and had the shape of a staircase. The middle was high and the four sides were low. Looking from afar, there was an open-air pavilion built on the stone platform. How could there be such a place in the Thunderclap territory? Chu Hen was both surprised and confused. After a moment of hesitation, Chu Hen immediately walked toward the stone platform in the center of the lake. As he approached, Chu Hen casually took over 100 thunder cherry grass and placed them in his storage ring. After all, there was no guarantee that something unexpected wouldn't happen. Before Chu Hen prepared to leave at any time, he had to first collect the mission results. Chu Hen carefully approached the front, his eyes vigilantly watching the wind and grass in the surroundings. Not long after, Chu Hen arrived at the lakeside. Everything was calm and nothing unforeseen had happened. Then, Chu Hen stepped into the air and flew toward the stone platform in the center of the lake. Steadily landing on the ground, Chu Hen's gaze looked towards the open-air balcony in the middle of the stone platform. He saw that there was actually a small square stone platform on the balcony. The small stone platform seemed to be about 1.3 meters tall, and the stone walls were engraved with strange runes and secret scrolls. Chapter 435. This is... In a large valley within the Thunderclap region, Chu Hen stood on a stone platform in the middle of the lake, staring at the small square stone platform in the middle of the open-air pavilion in astonishment. The small stone platform that was over a meter tall was engraved with strange runes and secret inscriptions. The surface directly above it had a groove, and within that groove, a cluster of strange light patterns emitted obscure and restless energy fluctuations. The corners of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly as he cautiously approached the pavilion in front of him. When he approached the stone platform, he saw that there was a strange round bead in the groove. Chu Hen raised his eyebrows, a look of astonishment surging in his eyes. This was a round bead with a diameter of about 20 centimeters. It was resplendent and dazzling all over. Streaks of intertwining silver and black lightning were hovering above and below the ball, faintly emitting crackling noises. It was black lightning again. Chu Hen's heart was slightly startled. He was able to clearly sense the powerful energy ripple that was emitted from this light ball. Moreover, this energy was extremely pure. It even had a somewhat brutal aura. This ruthless energy was clearly similar to the aura of the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Could it be formed from the Darkwing Flood Dragon's demonic beast source power? Chu Hen murmured softly. Buzz buzz, a faint mite floated within Chu Hen's pair of demonic purple pupils. Under the investigation of the demonic pupils, there were actually traces of lightning energy faintly fusing into the ball of light in front of him. This ball of light was constantly absorbing the power of thunder and lightning between the heavens and the earth. Chu Hen was secretly amazed. His gaze then swept over the corpse of the Darkwing Flood Dragon lying halfway up the mountain. Could it be that the other party condensed its demonic beast source power into a bead and spat it out to absorb the lightning energy between heaven and earth, using it to break through bottlenecks and level up in the future? In fact, many powerful Beast King-level demonic beasts would choose to do so. Beast Kings that could continuously grow and break through, like humans, had their own cultivation system. They would also think of ways to strengthen themselves and develop towards a higher level. This was definitely a good thing. The source of spiritual yuan contained the purest monster power of the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Many void-piercing realm experts would think of ways to obtain it to help them break through the bottleneck. This was because the energy contained in the Beast King's spiritual origin source was very domineering. When breaking through to a higher level, the stronger one's power was, the better the effect would be. However, the physical strength and physique of an ordinary person could not withstand the spiritual yuan power of a demon beast. Generally, when humans used it, they would mix it with other materials and refine it into a medicinal pill. Of course, there was no lack of people with tyrannical strength or strong physique who could directly absorb the power within. If he was lucky, he might even be able to obtain the Darkwing Flood Dragon's lightning-attributed energy and use it for himself. However, just as Chu Hen was about to take a step closer to the stone platform, a fierce gust of cold wind suddenly swept over. What was going on? Chu Hen's expression changed slightly, and the Yuan Dan in his body immediately began to operate. In the next moment, a loud boom shocked the heavens. In an instant, the stone platform under Chu Hen's feet suddenly collapsed and exploded. Crisscrossing deep cracks rapidly extended outward. The thick bricks shattered inch by inch, and stones of all sizes flew wantonly like a swarm of scattered moths. Boom! Like a tsunami, the sky changed color, the wind blew, and the clouds surged. In an instant, the stone platform under Chu Hen's feet directly shattered from the bottom to the top. Roar! Immediately after, a huge beast covered in black lightning patterns splashed out of the water without any warning. An incomparably violent aura swept up, and it flew out from the bottom of the lake. An endless cold aura filled the entire area. A violent and fierce beast aura, as majestic as a mountain, pressed down. Thunder rolled, and its power was like a storm. The raging evil aura crushed towards Chu Hen, who was standing on a piece of broken stone, like a tsunami. Boom! Beautiful illusory flames erupted from Chu Hen's body, and the rapid airflow caused his clothes to flutter. Chu Hen's eyes coldly stared at the huge beast in front of him. This was another Darkwing Flood Dragon. However, this Darkwing Flood Dragon's body was hundreds of feet long, and the color of the lightning released from its body was actually an extremely shocking black. Compared to the Darkwing Flood Dragon just now, It was unknown how many times stronger this one was. Fourth level Beast King. Chu Hen frowned, and a hint of solemnity appeared in his demonic purple eyes. A fourth level Beast King was equivalent to a human expert in the fourth rank of the void-piercing realm, but it was 2 levels higher than Chu Hen. In particular, the black lightning lingering around its body gave Chu Hen a faint sense of danger. As a result, Chu Hen came to a sudden realization. No wonder there were so many thunder primrose grass growing here, and that Darkwing Flood Dragon wanted to eat the thunder primrose grass outside the valley. It turned out that this was someone else's territory, and it was occupied by another more powerful Darkwing Flood Dragon. Rumble! The rubble that was sent flying wantonly splashed, and the ball of origin spiritual yuan in the center of the stone platform also flew into the air. Without saying a word, the Darkwing Flood Dragon directly opened its huge mouth, and a powerful suction force emerged from its mouth, sucking the ball of origin spiritual yuan into its mouth and then swallowing it into its belly. Roar! In an instant, the aura that erupted from the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body skyrocketed. Its might was monstrous, and the black lightning that lingered around its body emitted extremely angry and berserk sounds. Streaks of lightning crisscrossed like lightning snakes and dragons, enveloping the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body. It was like a three-dimensional electric net that covered the sky and the earth, echoing with the dark clouds of lightning in the sky above. Even though Chu Hen was shocked, there was not a hint of panic on his face. And then, the giant bat wings behind the Darkwing Flood Dragon flapped, swinging its huge body, and fiercely sweeping its copper-like giant tail at Chu Hen. Chu Hen's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly dodged. Boom! The extremely destructive and violent power solidly hit the collapsed ruins of the stone platform. All the gravel was instantly crushed into powder. The lake water was bombarded and splashed wantonly, setting off wave after wave of monstrous waves. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon's eyes flashed fiercely. Seeing that its first attack had failed, it launched another round of attack. Chu Hen held the black saber diagonally, the blade flickering with resplendent light patterns. Infinite demonic slash, buzz! Space trembled as a 200-meter-wide black saber light swept across the sky, sweeping up a thick destructive aura as it slashed towards the opponent. Chi-chi! The Darkwing Flood Dragon's fierce eyes flickered with lightning. It opened its huge mouth, and a dozen meters wide black lightning burst out, meeting the attack head-on. Bang! Two extremely overbearing forces collided with each other, setting off a mighty force that could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. The waves in the lake surged violently, and the mountains in all directions shook along with it. "This guy is much stronger than that loach," Chu Hen muttered to himself with a faint smile. However, since the origin spiritual yuan had already been swallowed by the Darkwing Flood Dragon, there was no way to obtain it. Moreover, the thunder primrose grass was already in his hands. There wasn't much meaning in continuing to fight. Thus, Chu Hen didn't want to waste any more time and turned to leave. "Let's go." However, the Darkwing Flood Dragon seemed to take Chu Hen's retreat as fear. It had no intention of letting Chu Hen leave. Its huge wings flapped, and the wind howled as it pounced on Chu Hen, brandishing its claws and fangs. Chi-chi! The power of lightning rose, and a series of lightning rays converged to form a black net of electricity, enveloping Chu Hen's head. "Damn, you're still not giving me face?" Chu Hen couldn't help but curse. His eyes turned cold, and the dazzling power of the stars and black origin chi surged around him. "Humph, don't push your luck, huh?" The limitless Fong danced in the air, and slashed 3 times in a row. Swish, 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 3 solid saber shadows flew through the air in a row, like the shadows of stars flying in from outer space, striking the same spot of the lightning net one after another. The residual power of the violent force splashed out, and a gap of several meters wide was blasted open in the middle of the huge lightning net. Chapter 436. Rumble! High up in the sky, Chu Hen wielded a sharp black blade. His entire body emitted a powerful aura that overflowed to the heavens. He slashed apart the huge lightning net 3 times in a row, then charged towards the Darkwing Flood Dragon. The Darkwing Flood Dragon also released a particularly terrifying and ruthless aura. The black lightning net crackled, and a pair of giant crocodile eyes filled with a menacing aura. Clang! Bolt after bolt of extremely destructive black lightning flew out from the Darkwing Flood Dragon's mouth. Like a lightning snake, it swept across the sky and struck towards Chu Hen with shocking might. The speed and the power of the attack were enough to make one's heart tremble. Chu Hen displayed the Alcade light movement technique without restraint. His figure was like a ghost as he continuously changed his position in the air. As he dodged, the limitless Fang shone resplendently, cutting off several powerful bolts of lightning in a row. Watching Chu Hen skillfully and easily deal with the concentrated attacks, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's fierce eyes surged with a bit of human-like astonishment. If it was an ordinary second-rank void-piercing realm cultivator like Wu Xiu, he would have long since been turned into ashes by the lightning strike. And the strength displayed by this person was enough to make even the rank 4 Beast King, the Darkwing Flood Dragon, treat him with caution. Boom! Chu Hen swung his blade, and the biting cold light of the blade cut a 7 or 8 meter wide bolt of lightning in half. Along with the remaining violent aura, Chu Hen immediately arrived 40 meters away from the Darkwing Flood Dragon. An astonishing silver power of the stars was released from within Chu Hen's body, quickly climbing up the limitless Fang's blade. In the blink of an eye, the black blade instantly turned bright silver. 7-star / Alcade /. Chu Hen let out a loud roar, and an overflowing aura was released. Bright light blossomed from within Chu Hen's body. Then, it blossomed like a firework, and 6 identical figures dispersed. Roar! However, at this moment, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's momentum suddenly rose, its evil and vicious aura soaring into the sky. Chi-Chi, without waiting for Chu Hen to use the Alcade /, countless bolts of black lightning spread out in all directions with the Darkwing Flood Dragon at the center. Dense and terrifying lightning surged like a tide, its momentum shocking the heavens. It was like the pattern of a formation, spreading out at an extremely fast speed. The sky changed color and space trembled. The speed at which Chu Hen executed the Alcade / was slower than the speed of the lightning. The space within a radius of dozens of meters was instantly occupied. The powerful and destructive impact was like a ferocious beast that had opened the floodgates, directly crushing Chu Hen's 6 doppelgangers into pieces. Chu Hen's expression changed slightly when he saw this. This big fellow was much more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. Looks like I have to be serious. Bang bang, the violent power of lightning struck the illusory flame shield around Chu Hen's body, creating a series of sparks. The destructive power of the black lightning was much more terrifying than Chu Hen had imagined. Even the illusory flame shield, which was supposed to be impregnable, actually began to crack at this moment. This beast is so King ferocious. Buzz buzz, immediately, a wave of black true essence quickly surged out of Chu Hen's body and filled the cracks in the illusory flame shield that had been blasted open. Looking from afar, Chu Hen seemed to be situated in a sea of lightning. Everything around him was covered by a net of black lightning, and there were signs that he would be swallowed up at any time. The density of the lightning was extremely high. It was like a cage with no exit or exit. But even so, Chu Hen, who was trapped within, was like a stubborn rock. No matter how ferocious the attacks were, they were still unable to break through the illusory flame shield that had the support of chaotic force. In the huge valley, the sky was dark and the ground was dark. Storms and thunder roared. Under the endless black light, Chu Hen was like a shining star in the night sky, dazzling with a myriad of brilliance. Chi-Chi. But at this moment, the Darkwing Flood Dragon was already preparing an even fiercer killing blow. The restless black lightning jumped happily, then gathered in front of the Darkwing Flood Dragon's head to form a ball of lightning. As a rank 4 Beast King, its intelligence wasn't much lower than a human's. From the previous exchange, it was clear that Chu Hen wasn't an ordinary small fry. The best decision was to take advantage of the situation and directly kill him, not giving him any room to maneuver. Black lightning gathered in front of the Darkwing Flood Dragon's head. The ball of lightning rapidly expanded, becoming the size of a house in the blink of an eye. Chaotic air currents rapidly rotated, causing the space around it to distort and tremble. Roar! In the next moment, the Darkwing Flood Dragon opened its huge mouth and spat out an incomparably powerful air current. Under the fierce push of the airflow, the black lightning ball in front of him shot out like a cannonball. The incomparably terrifying might was like a meteorite flying across the sky, rolling up an unstoppable destructive aura as it attacked Chu Hen. A vast and terrifying pressure came crashing down. Wherever the black lightning ball went, even the dust would disappear without a trace. The center of the lake below surged with waves. The huge lake seemed to have been split apart from the middle, and huge waves surged towards both sides. Chu Hen's pupils tightly shrunk. Between his eyebrows, he revealed a dense sense of seriousness. In just a blink of an eye, the lightning ball that was filled with boundless destructive power directly struck Chu Hen's body. Boom! An especially violent turbulence immediately exploded in the sky. The vast and terrifying power was like an exploding star. Tens of thousands of light pillars bloomed like misty rain. A circle of majestic and vigorous power was like ripples on the surface of the water, endlessly sweeping in all directions. The mountains trembled, and the earth was restless. Some of the nearby mountain peaks were directly shaken and collapsed. The entire sky was shrouded in a net of lightning that filled the sky. The sure-kill attack of a 4th-grade Beast King was truly terrifying. Looking at Chu Hen, who was engulfed by the violent power, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's eyes were filled with a human-like contempt and sneer. However, before he had the time to be happy, something unexpected happened. Buzz! The black lightning quickly dissipated, and a fierce young figure once again appeared in the Darkwing Flood Dragon's line of sight. The chaotic air currents caused Chu Hen's clothes and long hair to flutter. Apart from his slightly disordered aura, Chu Hen didn't have any obvious injuries on his body. Chu Hen's body was swallowing and spitting out dazzling starlight. His left hand maintained the posture of pushing forward. In Chu Hen's left palm, 7 dots of light were arranged in the shape of the Big Dipper. The dot of light in the direction of the Dubhe star was the brightest. Incomparably powerful energy fluctuations constantly spread out. The Dubhe star Soul Pearl, a divine artifact, had unexpectedly withstood the Darkwing Flood Dragon's powerful killing move head-on. Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon was both shocked and furious. Immediately, the black lightning that hadn't completely disappeared became incomparably powerful again, and the scales all over its body stood on end. It was obvious that it was furious to the extreme. Roar! Then, the Darkwing Flood Dragon flew up, swaying its 100-foot-long body, and aggressively pounced on Chu Hen, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and a demonic purple light spurted out. Swish! As the other party attacked, a monstrous aura also erupted. 1 man and 1 beast, the aura that erupted from them was comparable to the collision of a flood and a mountain. Chi-Chi! The concentrated lightning that lingered around the Darkwing Jiao Dragon was the first to sweep over. Chu Hen's ice-cold demonic pupils flickered with a cold sword-like glint. His aura rose as he charged into the astonishing lightning net. Powerful lightning surged, but Chu Hen ignored it. Like an arrow, he pierced through the black lightning net and flashed to the Darkwing Flood Dragon's head. Then, he firmly pressed his left palm against the other party's scales. In an instant, dazzling starlight was released from Chu Hen's palm. The Big Dipper pattern became even brighter and more dazzling. The Darkwing Flood Dragon turned pale with fright, its huge eyes filled with fear and unease. A tremendous aura of danger surged. Roar! In a panic, the Darkwing Flood Dragon once again increased the power of lightning and shook its huge head, intending to throw Chu Hen off. However, Chu Hen wouldn't give the other party the chance to do so. A demonic smile rose on his handsome face, and he shouted coldly, "Did you have a good time just now? Now it's my turn. I'll let you experience the power of a sacred artifact." Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, a dull and violent explosion resounded in the sky. An incomparably dazzling starlight erupted from Chu Hen's palm like a mountain torrent breaking through a dam, and all of it struck the Darkwing Flood Dragon's head. The shock wave released by the Dubhe Star Soul Pearl flowed into the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body without any waste. The latter was sent flying as if struck by a meteor. In the process, half of the Darkwing Flood Dragon's head caved in, and its tightly knit scales burst open. Red and white fluid splashed everywhere, and a hole more than 2 meters wide appeared on the Darkwing Flood Dragon's head. Roar! With a mournful roar, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's aura rapidly receded, and the lightning around its body rapidly dimmed. Bang! The Darkwing Flood Dragon landed heavily on the riverbank, sending dust flying everywhere. Rubble and water mixed together and tumbled. Phew! Chu Hen let out a long sigh of relief. He had finally dealt with this terrifying big fellow. The Darkwing Flood Dragon that had reached the level of a 4th-rank Beast King was indeed powerful. In particular, the strange black lightning was many times more tyrannical than ordinary lightning. Swish! Then, Chu Hen flew down and flashed in front of the Darkwing Flood Dragon. Its cold eyes were filled with hatred, helplessness, and endless unwillingness. Chu Hen was a little surprised. He muttered to himself, "Its life is really tough. Even after all this, it still hasn't died." Roar! The Darkwing Flood Dragon roared powerlessly, showing its last trace of dignity. Boom! Suddenly, at this moment, a strange energy wave was released from Chu Hen's body. A 7-colored light spread out without warning, and an astonishing ruthless aura spread out. Chu Hen turned pale with fright and was extremely shocked. Chapter 437. It was the aura of the sacred winged heavenly flame sparrow. Chu Hen's expression changed drastically when he saw the rainbow light rapidly radiate from his body. It had actually broken through the suppression of the chaotic body and sacred demonic pupil body? That's not right. Chu Hen did not sense the sacred winged heavenly flame sparrow attacking him, nor did it show any signs of breaking out of his body. However, the aura radiating from his body clearly belonged to the sacred winged heavenly flame sparrow. "What are you trying to do?" Chu Hen rebuked. However, he did not receive a reply. The rainbow light was dominated by the golden flames as it rapidly surged towards the Darkwing Jiao Dragon that had yet to die. As soon as the Jiao Dragon sensed the unparalleled ferocity contained within the strange light, deep fear surged in its eyes. It struggled with all its might and let out a low roar. This was a fear that originated from the very depths of its soul and the trembling of its bones. Chu Hen frowned. Just what level of existence was this sacred winged heavenly flame sparrow? It was actually able to frighten the Darkwing Jiao Dragon to such an extent. Buzz! Whoosh! Under Chu Hen's astonished gaze, the brilliant rainbow light wrapped around the Darkwing Jiao Dragon, causing it to struggle even more violently. It felt as if it was watching the god of death descend upon it, and it could not put up any resistance at all. A dense radiance quickly seeped into the Darkwing Jiao Dragon's body. Then, a wave of pure demonic beast origin spiritual energy was extracted from the Darkwing Jiao Dragon's body and quickly surged into Chu Hen's body. What's going on? Chu Hen was alarmed. An endless stream of the demonic beast origin energy flowed into Chu Hen's body under the rainbow light, but Chu Hen did not feel anything at all. The energy did not fuse with his own origin energy. It was clear that the Darkwing Jiao Dragon's energy had only passed through Chu Hen's body and been stolen by the sacred winged heavenly flame sparrow. Chu Hen couldn't figure it out. Since the spiritual yuan had already been devoured by the Darkwing Flood Dragon, it should have fused with the other party's body in a short period of time. Logically speaking, there was no way to retrieve it, but the sacred winged heavenly flame bird was like a tyrannical bandit, forcibly pulling the energy out of the other party's body. After that, Chu Hen couldn't help but recall the time in the 10,000 Beast Ridge. For the sake of breaking through the seal, the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow had sacrificed the lives and souls of a few tens of thousands of demon beasts, and that scene was still fresh in Chu Hen's memory. If that was the case, the scene before them was nothing much. In the end, he had still underestimated the sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow's abilities. Zhang Xian had thought that he would be fine as long as he had the two bloodline powers sealed within his body. Who could have thought that the other party would still be able to accomplish other things through his body? However, Chu Hen didn't know what the Darkwing Flood Dragon was going to do next. His eyes were filled with vigilance as he prepared to unleash his primal chaos force and demonic eye power at any time. As long as the other party dared to do anything that threatened him, Chu Hen wouldn't hesitate to attack with his full strength. The demon beast energy within the Darkwing Flood Dragon's body was quickly being drained away. At the same time, the source of its life was also taken away. The Darkwing Flood Dragon that was previously incomparably ruthless and overflowing with aura was now so helpless that it made people feel pity. When it looked at Chu Hen, there was no longer any hatred or resentment in its eyes. There was only a deep sense of powerlessness and fear. In the blink of an eye, the Darkwing Flood Dragon's crocodile eyes grew dim and lusterless. When the last strand of its life force dissipated, the last strand of demon beast energy within its body was forcibly drained by the sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow. The multicolored light that the Darkwing Flood Dragon released quickly returned to Chu Hen's body like a sponge absorbing water. The sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow's aura also retracted. Nothing that worried Chu Hen had happened. Even so, Chu Hen's heartstrings were stretched taut. "Just what are you trying to do?" Chu Hen asked coldly. Didn't you see it already? I'm just draining its source of spiritual energy. Do you have a problem with that?" The sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow's indifferent voice rang out. "Humph." Chu Hen didn't find it funny. He replied in a low voice, "You're hiding in my body right now. Do you think I have a problem with that? Fine. In consideration of what you said before, I'll pay you some rent right now." "What?" As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen suddenly felt a powerful and domineering strange energy suddenly surge out of his body. This energy contained a thick, vicious aura of a vicious beast. ZZZT. Without waiting for Chu Hen to understand what had happened, streaks of crisscrossing black lightning light patterns immediately leaked out from his body. "You!" Chu Hen was both shocked and confused. The Darkwing Flood Dragon's source of spiritual energy was actually channeled into his Dantian's Qi. Without another word, Chu Hen tried to expel this energy out of his body. However, the sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow's slightly flirtatious voice rang out. "Damn brat, don't waste this source of spiritual energy. It's good for you. Who knows, it might even help your demon eye evolve and level up." Chu Hen's heart thumped. "Demon eye evolve?" Hee. Just as Chu Hen was hesitating, the sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow smiled wickedly. "I'll help you a bit more. Don't thank me too much." Boom. In the next instant, an exceedingly powerful, matchless, and fierce aura once again burst out from Chu Hen's body. A ray of light that was as beautiful as a divine rainbow soared into the sky, and engulfed everything in an instant. The airflow in the entire valley became extremely chaotic and uneasy. A violent gust of wind rose and the clouds surged. The dark clouds in the sky surged and roiled violently. Streaks of black lightning crisscrossed, as if the thunder god was enraged. Shortly after, something that made Chu Hen even more astonished happened. With him as the center, a wave of air swirled and danced, and a powerful suction force was released. The spiritual energy between the heavens and earth surged in from all directions. What was even more surprising was that the thunder primrose grass that covered the entire mountain was emitting a dazzling brilliance as a powerful lightning energy lingered around the thunder primrose grass. Screech! Suddenly, a resounding cry of a sparrow that resounded through the 9 heavens resounded in the gorge. The high-pitched cry soared into the sky, displaying an unparalleled domineering aura. Buzz, following that, all the lightning energy contained within the thunder primrose grass flew out, as if it was being forcefully extracted by someone. Then, it surged towards Chu Hen from all directions. Endless lightning beams shot out like tens of thousands of arrows. The momentum was earth-shattering and earth-shattering. It was as if a lightning rain had descended between heaven and earth, and Chu Hen, who was in the center, was like a live target. There wasn't a single blind spot, and there was nowhere for him to hide. Even Chu Hen felt his scalp go numb from the scene before him. Before he could put up a defense, the sacred-winged heavenly flame sparrow had directly interfered and constantly attacked the restriction in his body, making it difficult for Chu Hen to multitask. Damn it, Chu Hen's face changed. His pupils, which had shrunk to the size of a needle, reflected the countless lightning beams. Sizzle! Sizzle! The energy from the thunder cherry grass surged into Chu Hen's body. This feeling was like a flood after the floodgates were opened. The incomparably violent lightning energy instantly filled all the meridians in Chu Hen's body and surged toward his dantian. Intense pain and numbness instantly occupied Chu Hen's body. Every inch of his flesh was leaping with the light of lightning. Half of the lightning circling around Chu Hen was silver, while the other half was black. They intertwined and interweaved to form an especially huge and strange net of light. At this moment, Chu Hen seemed to have encountered tens of thousands of lightning tribulations entering his body, shocking the heavens and shattering the earth. Endless energy surged into Chu Hen, and he only felt that his body was about to explode. He angrily scolded, "You lowly bird, your ancestral grave is going to explode. Io, you still dare to scold me? You damn brat, you don't know what's good for you. Let me add a little more." Buzz! As soon as he finished speaking, an even more powerful suction force once again spread out from Chu Hen's body. Subsequently, it was as if the spiritual energy in this world was instantly sucked dry. Layers upon layers of hurricanes rose. In the sky above the valley, thunder intertwined and a storm struck. Clang! In the next second, tens of peerlessly powerful lightning bolts descended from the sky. They swept up a dense berserk and destructive aura as they pierced downwards, directly exploding towards Chu Hen. Every single one of these lightning bolts had a deep black luster. Chu Hen's eyes widened in anger, and he couldn't help scolding, "Fuck you!" Boom! Along with an incomparably terrifying momentum that shook the heavens, the extremely lethal power whistled through the air. With Chu Hen as the center, the incomparably violent turbulence directly set off a layer of monstrous waves. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked, and the sky darkened. The corpse of the Darkwing Flood Dragon, not far from Chu Hen, was instantly blasted into a pile of ashes by the violent aftershocks. In the chaotic and mighty storm of energy, the area within a radius of nearly 1,000 meters was directly reduced to ruins. Within the ruins, Chu Hen's figure was in a sorry state. His clothes were tattered, and there were many wounds on his body that were bleeding profusely, but even so, Chu Hen still stood firmly in the same place. His face gloomy, and his bewitching purple eyes revealed a cold glint like a sharp sword. Chi! Chi! Powerful lightning patterns swam all over his body, shaking the heavens and earth. His imposing manner was so strong that he was like a thunder god. The thunder cherry grass growing in the valley was still constantly releasing lightning energy into Chu Hen's body. Having its energy forcefully extracted, the thunder cherry grass quickly began to wither. As more and more lightning energy entered his body, the energy within Chu Hen's body became increasingly saturated. His body trembled, his fists clenched tightly, and the veins on his arms and forehead bulged like dragons. Every time he moved, the lightning patterns that swam around his body would let out a joyful sound. The power grew stronger and stronger, and there was already a situation where it was out of control. Chu Hen gritted his teeth as he pressed down on the bed. Then, he suddenly raised his head and roared towards the sky. A rumble! A transcendent aura soared into the sky, and intertwining lightning patterns rushed into the sky with a power that intertwined with each other. Hua! The space trembled, and the Yuan Dan within Chu Hen's body became restless. Kacha! The Yuan Dan that originally only had 2 cracks, once again split open and a third strange pattern appeared on it. Immediately after, a surge of true energy that was more than 10 times stronger than before surged out of Chu Hen's body. Chapter 438. The Thunderclap region valley that had just been stirred up had unknowingly returned to peace. However, the surging dark clouds that shrouded the valley still flickered with lightning, but compared to before, the Thunderclap region's momentum was clearly much weaker. Not long ago, the thunder primrose grass that covered the entire mountain had all withered. The lightning energy contained in tens of thousands of thunder primrose grass had all been forcibly extracted. No matter who saw that scene, they would most likely be shocked speechless. At that moment, in the ruins near the center of the valley, Chu Hen, who was in a sorry state and had tattered clothes, sat on a pile of rubble like a boulder. Both of his eyes were tightly closed, and black lightning and a demonic purple light flowed around his body. Everywhere was filled with the aftermath of the violent impact of the power. The lake was also almost gone. It was filled with rocks of all sizes, leaving only a few muddy ponds. Zap zap! Accompanied by the faint sound of interweaving lightning, the lightning energy that lingered around Chu Hen's body gradually receded, like a sponge absorbing water into Chu Hen's body and into his dantian's qi. At the same time, the strange purple light that shrouded Chu Hen's body also became especially uneasy. It was as active as a rising purple flame, extremely unstable. Buzz! Suddenly, Chu Hen's eyes opened, and a strange power burst out from his demonic purple pupils. The 3 black dots in the depths of his pupils trembled violently, showing signs of wanting to break through the shackles of the boundary. However, this situation only lasted for less than 10 seconds. When Chu Hen's aura reached its peak, it quickly fell again. The purple splendor quickly receded, and the purple light in his eyes also dissipated, returning to its normal clear black color. Breaking through to 4-star demonic pupils failed. Chu Hen let out a deep sigh of relief. A little disappointment surged in his eyes. Hee, are you disappointed? It was also at this moment that the sacred winged heavenly flame bird's playful laughter rang out. It was hard to tell whether it was a man or a woman. Chu Hen frowned and coldly replied, "What exactly is your goal?" What do you mean? Let me tell you, don't think that you really have the ability to trap me. Even if you have a powerful bloodline, I can still kill you in minutes. The sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow said indifferently. Chu Hen snorted coldly, a look of disdain on his face. You think I'm scared? Although Chu Hen's mouth expressed disdain, in reality, he was still cautious and fearful of him. He had indeed underestimated the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow when he was in the 1,000 Cranes sect. To be more precise, he had underestimated the other party's capabilities. Originally, he thought that it would be fine if he could suppress it with his chaotic force and the power of the demonic eye, but he never thought that it would still be able to cause such a violent scene through his own body. This was the saintly wing heavenly flame sparrow's demonstration to Chu Hen. It warned the other party that it was best not to provoke it again, let alone steal its monster soul power. Of course, the sacred wing heavenly flame sparrow had another goal. Are you satisfied with the rent I paid? What? Chu Hen didn't understand. What are you pretending for? Not only did I help you break through to the 3rd level of the void-piercing realm, but I also helped you obtain the dark lightning power. Are you pretending that you didn't see it? Chu Hen snorted coldly again. You call that helping people? You almost killed me. Aren't you still alive? Also, do you want your demonic eye to break through to the fourth star? The corner of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed and he fell silent. The saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow smiled proudly. You desire the power of the fourth star demonic eye, right? Based on my understanding of the demonic eye sacred body, the third star and the fourth star are two different concepts. Take your battle just now for example. If you had the power of the fourth star demonic eye, you could have instantly killed that Darkwing Flood Dragon. What? Instantly killed a level 4 beast king Darkwing Flood Dragon? Chu Hen's pupils shrank slightly, and his hands involuntarily clenched into fists. He couldn't help but feel his heart thump. How about it? As long as you agree to share the power of your demonic eye with me, let alone the fourth star demonic eye, even the fifth star, or the sixth star will not be a problem. This way, compared to slowly cultivating on your own, I don't know how many times faster it is. The saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow continued to tempt him. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled into a faint smile. Now, with just a few words of yours, you want me to agree to cooperate with you? Are you trying to fool a 3-year-old child? Then what do you want? Very simple, show some sincerity. Wasn't that sincerity just now? With your own speed, can you raise the power of the demonic eye so quickly? The saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow said disdainfully. It was undeniable that the other party was right. The sacred body was not like the ordinary bloodline boundary. If one wanted to complete the breakthrough of the sacred body, it was very difficult, especially the demonic eye sacred body, which was known as the 10 strongest sacred bodies. The first 3 stars were fine, and the difficulty was not particularly high. However, ever since Chu Hen had broken through to the 3rd star level, he had not felt any signs of advancing to the 4th star for a long time. No matter how fast Chu Hen's martial cultivation increased, the power of the demonic eye that he could release was also getting stronger and stronger. However, it seemed that there was still a huge gap between him and the 4th star level. However, just now, Chu Hen sensed the opportunity to break through to the 4th star level. However, that opportunity was fleeting. It didn't take long for it to disappear. Although there was disappointment, it also gave Chu Hen hope to break through to the 4th star level. Unfortunately, this hope was given by the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow. Therefore, Chu Hen was somewhat tempted. If he cooperated with the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow, he might really be able to quickly increase the power of the demonic eye. At the same time, Chu Hen also had many concerns. Once he agreed to cooperate with the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow to attack the power of the demonic eye, safety was a problem worth considering. In the future, he would not be able to shake off the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow for a relatively long time. Due to various reasons, Chu Hen did not let the rewards in front of him get to his head. What you did just now was not sincerity. You were more like a demonstration to me. Chu Hen replied very clear-headed. Then, all right. The saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow's tone was light. Then, it said, then tell me yourself, what is considered true sincerity? At the very least, you have to help me break through to the 4th star level first before I will consider cooperating with you. Ha! You damn brat, you are really more cunning than some old fellows. Heh, same to you. Alright. I will help you break through to the 4th star level. Really? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. The saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow sneered. Why are you so happy so early? I did not say that I would help you break through now. You? Chu Hen suddenly had the urge to curse. This B***tch bird really deserved to be scolded. He suppressed his anger and said, When will you help me break through to the 4th star level? That depends on my mood. The saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow had the intention of leaving Chu Hen hanging. What the other party wanted, it would not let him get so easily. It had to make Chu Hen compromise with it and beg the heavenly flame sparrow instead. In this way, it also had the capital to negotiate with Chu Hen. However, Chu Hen was also a person who did not like to admit defeat. It was impossible for him to beg the other party. He snorted lightly and simply ignored the saint-wing heavenly flame sparrow. It's about time to go out. Chu Hen adjusted his mood. To be honest, his harvest today was very considerable. Originally, under normal circumstances, it would take about 3 or 4 months to break through to the 3rd level of the void-piercing realm. Now, not only had he completed the breakthrough, he had also obtained the Dark Thunder power. Although this Black Thunder power came from the Beast King, the Dark Wing Flood Dragon, if Chu Hen nourished it with true inner force, the power of the Dark Thunder power would gradually increase as his strength increased. This was equivalent to Chu Hen obtaining another attribute of power. Chu Hen stood up and looked around. The thunder primrose grass that covered the mountains and plains had all withered, and there was almost no stalk left. Fortunately, he had collected more than 100 stalks before. Otherwise, he would not have been able to complete the assessment task of becoming a palace disciple. Immediately after, Chu Hen looked down at his tattered clothes that had been blasted by the dark thunder. He could not help but smile helplessly. It seemed that in the future, he would not be able to obtain demonic power from the Saint-Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow. When the other party was not crazy, it was also quite terrifying. Subsequently, Chu Hen took out a new set of clothes and changed into them. He glanced at the dark clouds in the sky and pondered for a moment before choosing to return the way he had come. There was a safe path here, so there was no need to take the risk of being struck by lightning to walk on it. The periphery of the Thunderclap territory. On the bank of the Black River. I'm really worried to death. It's already been 6 hours. Why hasn't junior brother Chu Hen come out yet? Li Nanhai paced back and forth by the river, his brows furrowed and his palms hitting the back of his hands from time to time. Ji Si pursed her red lips and asked tentatively, could he have already? Impossible. Li Nanhai shook his head resolutely. Junior brother Chu Hen's strength is clear for all to see. A mere Darkwing Flood Dragon won't be able to harm him. But he's only good at illusions. As for other aspects, Ji Si did not continue speaking. Li Nanhai's brows furrowed even deeper. He looked at the waves of the Black River and pondered for a moment. I'll go down and take a look. Do you want to die? Ji Si hurriedly stopped him. With Li Nanhai's cultivation, he would be swallowed by the Darkwing Flood Dragon in one gulp. Going down was purely courting death. However, Li Nanhai still shook his head. For the sake of senior sister Shilan, I cannot abandon Chu Hen. Wait for me here, I'll be back soon. With that, Li Nanhai leaped into the Black River. Chapter 439. Rumble. Water splashed all over the sky, and the huge waves of the Black Water River stirred up waves after waves of turbulent waves. Li Nanhai and Ji Si's expressions changed. They were both pushed back by the powerful aura in front of them. Just as the two of them thought it was the Darkwing Flood Dragon charging out, a young and fierce figure flew out from the waves, exuding a powerful and transcendent aura. Junior brother Chu Hen? Li Nanhai's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. Ji Si was also astonished, and her expression was moved. Swish! Chu Hen's figure moved, and he immediately flashed in front of the two. Sorry, something happened. I've kept you waiting. Where are the others? When Chu Hen went down earlier, there were more than 12,000 Crane Sect inner disciples, including Zheng Rong and the others. Now, besides Li Nanhai and Ji Si, everyone else had left. Li Nanhai smiled and said, they ran away a long time ago. They all thought that you wouldn't be able to catch up to the Darkwing Flood Dragon and wouldn't be able to retrieve the Thunder Cherry Grass. When the time comes, you'll most likely come to rob them, so they left as soon as possible. Chu Hen shook his head with a smile. If he wanted to rob them of the Thunder Cherry Grass, he would have done so a long time ago. There was no need for him to waste so much effort. How are you? Junior brother Chu Hen, are you injured? Chu Hen nodded. Li Nanhai was a good person. If it was anyone else, Chu Hen believed that the first thing he would ask would be if they had obtained the results of the mission, and not if they were injured. Just based on this, Chu Hen would treat this person before him as a friend. "This is for you." Whoosh! With a flash of white light, 6 stalks of sakura grass with faint silver light lingering around them appeared in Chu Hen's palm. Thunder cherry grass? Their eyes lit up once more. At the same time, Li Nanhai exclaimed inwardly. As expected of the person who defeated Meng Hong and was ranked 3rd among the Hall disciples. Chu Hen was Chu Hen. As expected of Chu Hen. "Take it. 3 for each of us," Chu Hen said. Ji-Si was pleasantly surprised. She didn't expect that she would also get a share. However, Li Nanhai seemed a little hesitant and did not immediately take the thunder primrose grass. Chu Hen could tell what the other party was thinking, and immediately said, "I'm only helping you enter the palace. Even if you temporarily become a disciple of the palace, there will still be an assessment in the next few years. At that time, if you can't complete the assessment, you will still be eliminated. So, how far you can go in the end still depends on yourselves. But, after all, this isn't the result of our mission with our own strength." Li Nanhai was still hesitating. Chu Hen laughed. "In fact, being popular is also a manifestation of strength. What do you think?" Since Chu Hen had already said this, Li Nanhai no longer hesitated. He took the thunder primrose grass from Chu Hen's hand and said, "I understand. Thank you, Junior Chu Hen." "Thank you, Junior Brother Chu Hen," Ji-Si said. "You're too polite. Let's go." "Okay." Both of them nodded and immediately left with Chu Hen. Around an hour later, Chu Hen, Li Nanhai, and Ji-Si arrived at the 3rd transfer station. This was a pergola that was built on a mountain ridge. This pergola was called the Overlook Pergola. Based on the color of the bricks and stone pillars, it was an ancient building. The Overlook Pergola was built in a rather grand and imposing manner. It had 2 main pavilions and a few subsidiary pavilions. When one looked into the distance from the Overlook Pergola, the scenery of the mountains and rivers in the forest was picturesque, and it caused one to feel relaxed and happy. However, the roars of demon beasts that sounded out from the mountain stream in the distance caused one's heart to palpitate slightly. It's Li Nanhai and the others. There's also Chu Hen. He's actually unharmed? I wonder if he obtained the thunder primrose grass. Who knows? A group of inner court disciples from the Thousand Crane sect sat in the southern pavilion of the Overlook Pergola Pavilion. All of their faces were filled with disappointment, desolation, and unwillingness. Obviously, they were the group that had failed the palace disciple test, and they were merely waiting for the teleportation formation to return to the Thousand Crane sect. On the other hand, there were only a few people in the northern pavilion. However, all of their faces were brimming with dense smiles of delight. The person in charge of the 3rd transfer station was a middle-aged man around the age of 40. He had an ordinary appearance, an ordinary figure, and the space between his brows gave others a peaceful feeling. There was a stone table by his side, but there was no assignment scroll on the stone table, and there was only a golden book there. "Junior Brother Chu Hen, let's go register ourselves," said Li Nanhai. Chu Hen nodded to display his agreement. Everyone in the Overlook Pergola Pavilion shot surprised gazes over when they saw Chu Hen's group of 3. After all, those who'd completed the assignments of becoming palace disciples had arrived one after another. Yet now, 3 of them had arrived at the same time, so they couldn't help but be surprised. Especially Li Nanhai and Ji-Si. Their natural talent wasn't particularly outstanding in the Thousand Crane sect, and logically speaking, they shouldn't have reached the standards of becoming palace disciples for now. However, when they saw Chu Hen by their side, they were able to guess the reason behind it. "Give me your assignment scrolls." The middle-aged man spoke in a gentle tone. The 3 of them didn't hesitate to hand over their scrolls. 3 thunder sakura grasses. 3 thunder sakura grasses. It's even 3 thunder sakura grasses. The middle-aged man was slightly surprised because all 3 of them had actually completed the same assignment. Have all of you completed your assignments? Chu Hen was the first to hand over the 3 thunder sakura grasses, and then Li Nanhai and Ji took out their assignments as well. As soon as they saw this scene, the people in the southern pavilion all revealed looks of envy. Especially the group of people who'd been at the banks of the Blackwater River earlier, they felt both envious and disdainful. A jealous young man said, "Elder Mu, they definitely didn't obtain the thunder sakura grasses with their own abilities." That's right. This test clearly doesn't count. Their thunder sakura grasses must have been given to them by Chu Hen. A few people who had failed and couldn't bear to see others doing well stood up and exposed Li Nanhai and Ji's background. In an instant, the people around him cast mocking glances at him. Li Nanhai and Ji were extremely embarrassed, especially Ji, who was a girl. She wanted to find a hole to hide in. However, Elder Mu's expression didn't change at all. He looked at Chu Hen quietly and said, "Did you obtain all the thunder sakura grasses by yourself?" "Yes," Chu Hen replied calmly. Elder Mu nodded, and a hint of approval appeared between his brows. "Name?" "Chu Hen." Elder Mu picked up the golden book on the table and opened it. He found Chu Hen's name and released a wisp of origin energy from his fingertip. Chu Hen's name emitted a golden glow. "What about you? What's your name?" Elder Mu looked at Li Nanhai and Ji. The 2 of them were stunned. They weren't disqualified? Those envious people started to shout again, expressing that they shouldn't have let the 2 pass. Elder Mu's eyes turned cold. A powerful aura swept out and suppressed the noisy crowd. Interpersonal relationships are also a reflection of strength. If you have the ability, you can get others to help you complete the task. As for you, you don't even have the most basic interpersonal relationships. What right do you have to mock others? With just a few words, everyone shut their mouths obediently. Li Nanhai and Ji's awkwardness disappeared in an instant. Their eyes were filled with joy. Subsequently, Elder Mu lit up their names one after another. "Congratulations on becoming our Sex Palace disciples. That's great." Ji was overjoyed. Her smile was like a flower. Li Nanhai was also extremely excited. The wish that had been suppressed in his heart had finally been fulfilled. Next, you have 2 choices. One is to return to the sect, and the other is to participate in the Palace Disciple Ranking Tournament. Elder Mu looked at the 3 of them and continued to explain. If you choose the former, you will always be a Palace Disciple until the next test. If you choose the latter, you will very likely be eliminated and lose your status as a Palace Disciple. Think about it carefully. Chu Hen faintly smiled and replied without any hesitation. "I choose the latter. Participate in the Palace Disciple Ranking Tournament." Elder Mu nodded. Li Nanhai and Ji looked at each other. After a brief moment of thought, the former replied, "I choose to return to the sect." "I also choose to return to the sect." The 2 of them were well aware of their own strength. They had even completed the task with Chu Hen's help. As for the Palace Disciple Ranking competition, it could be said to be the most important part of the entire examination. The 2 of them did not want to rely on Chu Hen. But if they were to rely on their own strength, rather than taking the risk of being eliminated, it would be better to first return to the sect and cultivate for a year, then participate in the examination next year. Elder Mu was not surprised at all. He raised his hand slightly and said, "The 2 of you can go to the side and wait. I will activate the transportation array later and send the 2 of you back to the sect." "Yes," Li Nanhai replied softly. Then, he turned to the side and said to Chu Hen, "Junior Chu Hen, be careful." "I will." Then, Elder Mu took out a jade slip-like object and gave it to Chu Hen. The jade slip was about 15 centimeters wide, and as wide as a finger. It was made of an unknown material and felt cool to the touch. There was a number on the jade slip. 81. Chu Hen raised his eyebrows and looked at the number in surprise. Ranked 81 among the palace disciples? That's right. Elder Mu gave his affirmation, and his tone became more solemn. In front of you, there are 80 palace disciples. Among them, 60 are veteran palace disciples, and 20 are like you, newcomers. 20 new disciples? Chu Hen was slightly astounded because such a probability was really low. After all, there were definitely over 10,000 inner court disciples in the Thousand Crane sect. Up until now, only 20 of them had passed the test. Even if Li Nanhai, Ji Si'er, and the others who hadn't participated in the final round of the test were included, there were still less than 30 of them. The rules of the final round are very simple. It's to seize the jade slip in the possession of another. In the end, the jade slip in your possession with the highest number will be your result. So that's how it is. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly as he spoke in a low voice. In other words, if I seize a jade slip with the number 1 in my possession, then I'll be the leader of the palace disciples? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone shot strange gazes at him. Isn't Chu Hen talking a little too arrogantly? From the beginning until the end, no one in the history of the Thousand Crane sect had dared to boast like that. But then again, since Chu Hen was able to instantly defeat Meng Hong, who was ranked third, it meant that it wouldn't be a problem for him to obtain the third position. In the history of the Thousand Crane sect, only a single person had accomplished such a magnificent feat in the final round and obtained the third position. It was the sect leader's personal disciple and the leader of the 5 core disciples, young Master Yuan, Wu Yuan. Everyone was horrified when they thought about it carefully. If that was really the case, then Chu Hen might become the second Wu Yuan. At that time, the other core disciples would feel pressured as well. Of course, this was only their guesses. After all, any unexpected events could occur during the final round of the test. Now, they could only say that Chu Hen possessed the strength to compete for the top 3, but what would the outcome be? No one knew. Elder Mu asked, "Do you have any other questions? Where's the final gathering point?" Chapter 440. The Hall Disciple Ranking Battle was also the last round of the assessment. After Chu Hen left the third exam transfer station, he entered the final exam location alone, which was the deeper part of the Mang Mountain Forest. The monsters that lived here were all extremely powerful. Beast King level existences could be seen everywhere. In the previous round of Thunder Primrose picking task, due to an accident, Chu Hen had to spend a lot of time. As a result, the Hall Disciple Ranking Battle had already begun 4 hours ago. There were 60 veteran Hall Disciples and more than 20 newly promoted Hall Disciples. Those who were ranked lower would be able to snatch the jade lots of those who were ranked higher. Finally, they would be sent to the Heaven Dazzling platform to complete the assessment. The rules were very simple, but it was rather difficult to do. Snatching the jade lots of those who were ranked higher than you was, in a sense, challenging those who were stronger than you. For many people, this kind of challenge was extremely difficult. After a while, Chu Hen stopped on top of a precipitous mountain range. There were people fighting in all directions, and the sounds of power colliding could be heard. The auras from all directions were quite strong, but there was no one worthy of Chu Hen's attention. I wonder where Hua Shui and the others are? Chu Hen muttered to himself. Although he had not known them for long, he had a good impression of them after spending so much time with them. Of course, with their strength, Chu Hen was not worried that there would be any problems. Among the group, Fu Qin's cultivation was the strongest. She would have no problem reaching the last level. Apart from Hua Shui, who was not good at fighting, Qi Ting, Lu Qi, Ji Shu, and Nong Qi all had a chance of becoming Hall Disciples. In the distance, there were undulating mountains and a magnificent sea of trees. Dust and smoke curled up like smoke and fog. At this moment, Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The corners of his mouth curled up and he said coldly, "Since you're here, why are you sneaking around? Show yourself." Swish, just as he finished speaking, along with a sudden wind-breaking momentum, a fierce afterimage flashed and arrived like an aurora flying shuttle. Moreover, it set off a scorching cyclone wave, directly striking towards Chu-Hen with a palm. Humph! Chu-Hen snorted coldly and clenched one of his hands into a fist. A mass of violent black light surged on his fist and collided head-on with his opponent's palm energy. Bang! The surrounding airflow suddenly trembled, and a circle of intersecting green and black air waves spread out from between the two of them. The ground under Chu-Hen's feet split open into long and narrow cracks. The scattered Jinshi turbulence exploded from within, and the figure was then shaken back by Chu-Hen's astral force fist. It somersaulted in the air, and then steadily landed more than 10 meters away. Chu-Hen's eyebrows raised. After the other party took a punch from him, he was still able to breathe without disorder. This person was not a weak person. He saw that it was a young man in his 20s, looking at Chu-Hen with a cold expression. His hands were surrounded by a green light, and an amazing scorching aura was released, causing the space to show a faint distortion. This person's bloodline boundary was fire attribute, and his cultivation base was at least at the peak of the third order of the void-piercing realm. Chu-Hen's eyes were light, and he quickly made a rough judgment. Hey, the reaction ability is not bad. The man grinned, revealing a mouthful of cold white teeth. Chu-Hen's face showed a touch of indifference. The other two people don't hide. The man was slightly flabbergasted, and his gaze towards Chu-Hen was filled with even more interest. Then, two figures with powerful auras appeared in front of Chu-Hen. Humph, bastard, you really made us wait, a cold and familiar voice followed. The person who said this was not someone else, but the third-ranked palace disciple, Meng Hong, who was defeated by Chu-Hen's illusion technique. He stared at Chu-Hen fiercely, and his eyes were still full of pride. As for the other person, his appearance was more ordinary, and his aura was restrained and calm. A pair of sharp eyes revealed a fierce aura like that of a fierce beast. Among the three, only this person could give Chu-Hen a faint sense of danger. Chu-Hen narrowed his eyes, spread his hands, and shrugged. So the three of you are waiting for me here? You are giving me too much face. I wonder what you are looking for me for? Humph, you know the answer. Meng Hong shouted coldly. Then, the young man with a trace of a fierce beast's aura took a few steps forward, and his voice was calm, without the slightest joy or anger. This is the first time we meet, let me introduce myself. My name is Kong Bin. Kong Bin? The corner of Chu-Hen's eyes narrowed, and a hint of surprise appeared between his brows. No wonder the other party had such an imposing manner. It was the leader of the palace disciples, Kong Bin, who was ranked first. Hee. The young man who sneaked an attack on Chu-Hen laughed mockingly and said, I am Hu Tong. As expected, Hu Tong, the genius who was ranked second among the palace disciples. With the addition of Meng Hong, the top three of the hall disciples were all present. He had only just entered the competition zone for the last round of the exam, but he was already intercepted by the three strongest people within the temple disciples. This was something that Chu-Hen did not expect. However, Chu-Hen did not show any signs of panic. He smiled lazily and said, How rare! The top three palace disciples are actually here to stop a newbie like me. If this gets out, won't people laugh their heads off? Humph, stop talking nonsense. I said last time that I will not let you go. If you are smart, kneel and beg for mercy now, I might consider letting you go this time. Meng Hong shouted loudly and arrogantly. Heh, a defeated opponent dares to bark here? Meng Hong's expression immediately darkened. Kong Bin and Hu Tong also frowned. It must be said that Chu-Hen was truly arrogant. He was actually so calm and composed in the face of the three of them. Hu Tong smiled strangely. Green light rose around his body, and his aura rose. Heh, I heard that during the Six-Nation competition of the Sacred Star Empire, you consecutively crushed two participants from my Flame Shadow Empire. Oh? Chu Hen's eyelids lifted as he casually asked, "Are you from the Flame Shadow Empire?" "Haha, congratulations on answering correctly. The reward is to send you on your way," swoosh. Along with Hutong's excited laughter, he did not say anything else and directly charged towards Chu Hen. Scorching green flames rose and lingered around his body like a small tornado. "Let me see how capable the person who defeated Meng Hong with a single move is." The sharpness that Chu Hen had displayed over the past few days had already attracted the attention of many people from the Thousand Crane sect, and among them were people who wanted to suppress his spirit. Sand and stones flew from the ground, and a powerful aura that was close to the fourth rank of the void-piercing realm stirred up a powerful heat wave that swept towards Chu Hen. Buzz! Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and a strange fluctuation of power was quietly released. Strands of strange purple light flickered in his pitch-black eyes. Then, the rocks and soil under everyone's feet suddenly disappeared and turned into a pool of water. Hutong stepped on the surface of the water, creating ripples in the water. "Hee, is this your so-called illusion technique?" Hutong sneered and instantly rushed in front of Chu Hen. His palm, which was engulfed in green flames, struck towards Chu Hen's chest. Bang! The heavy impact landed solidly on Chu Hen's body, and Chu Hen's body directly turned into a puddle of water and exploded. Hutong was slightly surprised, and he let out a sound of surprise. In the next second, ripples appeared on the surface of the water behind Hutong. A ball of water suddenly shot out like a fountain and quickly solidified. Soon after, it condensed into a shape and became Chu Hen's appearance. At the same time, a black blade appeared in Chu Hen's hand. The blade stabbed out like a sharp sword, tearing through the air and attacking Hutong's back. Whoosh! Hutong's heart was slightly startled. He dodged to the side to avoid the incoming black blade, then quickly extended his right hand. With a backhand grab, he firmly grabbed Chu Hen's wrist. "Hee, is that all you've got?" However, before Hutong could finish being happy, there was a walla sound of water, and another splash appeared behind Hutong. The splash was like a spring, and another Chu Hen appeared behind Hutong. Chapter 441. Whoosh! Before Hutong could finish celebrating, the surface of the water surged once again, and a second Chu Hen appeared like a ghost. The black blade in his hand tore through the air, leaving behind a series of blade shadows as it slashed toward Hutong's back. Hutong's brows furrowed. He did not expect Chu Hen's illusions to be so strange. However, as the second strongest Hall disciple, Hutong was not an ordinary person. With a somersault in the air, he dodged the black saber. At the same time, a scorching green flame rose from his other palm. The restless flame was like a firework that blossomed from within. Green flame flower rain. Bang! The cyan fireball set off layers upon layers of violent waves of air that spread out in all directions. The two Chu Hens in front and behind were directly smashed into two blobs of water. However, in just a few short seconds, the surface of the water surged once again, as if it was boiling water. Voila! A series of splashes rose up, and in an instant, 3 Chu Hens appeared one after another. Moreover, they surrounded Hutong in the middle with a tripartite formation. Hutong's expression finally changed a little. He had to admit that Chu Hen's illusions did have some skill. At this moment, the leader of the Hall disciples, Kong Bin, who stood with Meng Hong nearby, smiled lightly and said, "Haha, if this continues, there will probably be no end to it." Ta! With that, Kong Bin put his hands together and formed a seal. A powerful aura erupted from his body. Illusions break. Break, hum. In the next instant, a circle of gorgeous light patterns bloomed from Kong Bin's body like the radiance of the sun from the 9 heavens. A powerful aura was like a flood that had opened the floodgates, crushing everything in its path. Immediately after, the pool of water under their feet immediately disappeared, replaced by the hard rocks from before. The 3 Chu Hens that surrounded Hutong also immediately turned into wisps of smoke. Chu Hen was still standing in his original spot, not moving at all. The method of activating the illusions is not bad, but there are still quite a few flaws, Kong Bin said calmly. Chu Hen smiled. Senior brother Kong Bin really lives up to his reputation. In fact, Chu Hen just wanted to test their strength. In the end, he found out that Kong Bin had mastered a deciphering method that wasn't weak. However, Chu Hen still had a relaxed look on his face as he said, "Are you going to come one by one? Or three at the same time?" As soon as he said that, the expressions of the three of them darkened. Kong Bin's gaze turned cold, and his tone became much colder. "Are you that confident in yourself?" Chu Hen smiled evilly. He looked at Kong Bin with a naughty look and said, "I forgot to tell you. Actually, even if you didn't come to find me, I would have gone to find you." His light words were filled with a strong sense of playfulness. Their expressions changed once more. Would the other party take the initiative to look for them? What was the purpose of looking for them? It was very simple. It was naturally the jade lot with the number 1 inscribed on it. Arrogant! Hu Tong was shocked and furious. Without another word, he leaped up and pounced at Chu Hen like a ferocious tiger hunting its prey. Blue flames rose and overlapped, making him look like a ferocious beast burning with evil fire. Buzz! Hu Tong raised his hand and threw a punch, fiercely aiming at Chu Hen's head. Circles of cyan cyclones rapidly gathered on his fist, and instantly turned into an extremely dense fireball. Let's see what else you can do without your illusions. Heh! Chu Hen smiled playfully and similarly threw out his right fist. Chi-chi! Along with the restless sound of wind and thunder, his entire arm was instantly covered in active black lightning tattoos. Bang! The two fists collided, and a wave of energy spread out. Chaotic true energy flew around wantonly, and an overbearing aura surged out from Chu Hen's body. The cyan flames and the black lightning markings collided. Following the chaotic sparks of light markings, the cyan fireball directly exploded from the center. The powerful impact followed closely behind. Hu Tong's complexion changed. His arm instantly felt numb, and his body was sent flying back. His feet dragged out 2 deep marks on the ground before Hu Tong was able to stabilize himself. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the other party in shock. Sorry. Illusions are only my part-time. My main profession is still the strength of the martial path. Whoosh! Before Chu Hen finished speaking, a piercingly cold wind pounced at Hu Tong. A silver flowing light streaked in front of them, and Hu Tong's constricted pupils immediately reflected a leg sweep surrounded by black lightning. The speed was so fast that it was impossible to dodge. Hu Tong was greatly alarmed. In his haste, he hurriedly crossed his arms in front of his body and forcefully withstood Chu Hen's attack. Bang! An incomparably powerful leg sweep viciously chopped at Hu Tong's arms. The latter was sent flying like a sandbag, continuously retreating several dozen meters before heavily colliding with a huge rock. Crack! The instant Hu Tong stopped, countless deep cracks appeared on the rock behind him, and there was even a human-shaped imprint on it. The surging and violent force charged at all the major meridians in Hu Tong's body. His blood and energy surged, and even his throat faintly felt salty. They truly did not expect that the man in front of them, who was even younger than them, would possess such astonishing explosive power. Hu Tong, I'll help you. Meng Hong was also shocked and angry. A layer of blue light also appeared around his body. However, his blue light was different from Hu Tong's. The blue light around Meng Hong's body was fainter, like a wisp of gauze. Moreover, it was not a fire-type energy, but a wind-type energy fluctuation. Meng Hong, who possessed a wind affinity bloodline physique, was extremely quick. In an instant, he had arrived in front of Chu Hen. Immediately, he spread his hands in front of him. A powerful green glow agglomerated into a crescent moon-like narrow wind blade in his palm at an extremely swift and violent rhythm. An extremely destructive killing force spread out, causing the airflow in all directions to faintly tremble unceasingly. Bastard, today I'll let you experience the power of my wind slaughter profound body. Extreme wind slaughter, however, just as the word left his mouth, a ghost-like figure suddenly charged in front of Meng Hong. Wind, your ancestors' memorial tablet has exploded. Buzz. Chu Hen lifted his leg and kicked the wind blade in front of Meng Hong. Boom! Chu Hen's right leg, which was engulfed in the glow of dark lightning, was unstoppable. With a stomp, it directly exploded Meng Hong's wind blade that had yet to fully form. The sky was filled with green-colored light patterns that seemed to be raining down. Ice crystal fragments swirled in the air. Immediately after, Chu Hen's heavy leg solidly kicked Meng Hong's chest. The impact, which was comparable to a heavy hammer, surged down. Meng Hong's eyes were about to burst. After Hu Tong, he was also smashed out, falling back 200 to 300 meters. Seeing the scenes that happened one after another in front of him, Kong Bin, the head of the Hall disciples, could no longer sit still. An extremely powerful aura of a rank 4 void-piercing realm erupted from his opponent's body. Kong Bin leaped up and flashed high into the sky. Then, with both palms facing Chu Hen below, his index finger and thumb connected, leaving a triangular empty frame in the middle. Buzz buzz! A majestic and powerful true inner force quickly gathered in the triangular frame between the thumb and the substance. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth seemed to be pulled, quickly rushing into Kong Bin's palm. Annihilation! Boom! In the next instant, a 3-rhombus-shaped golden pillar of light shot out from between Kong Bin's hands like an aurora. It set off an endless amount of killing intent as it slanted downwards towards Chu Hen, who was in front of him. Chu Hen's brows slightly wrinkled. He hurriedly leaped up and dodged the attack. Bang! The bright and beautiful beam of light hit the ground, and as the rocks collapsed, the terrifying penetrating power pierced through more than half of the mountain. The front of the beam of light rushed out from the other side of the mountain. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes, secretly shocked. This Kong Bin really did have some real ability. In terms of strength alone, he was much stronger than Hu Tong and Meng Hong. Hey, how's my strength? Kong Bin looked at Chu Hen with a sneer and said, It's so. It's not to the extent that I'm afraid. Chu Hen pretended to be relaxed and smiled. Very good. It's been a long time since I've met an opponent like you. I hope you don't disappoint me. Killing intent rose within Kong Bin's eyes. The young male in front of him had already aroused his killing intent. Chu Hen's potential was really too great. If he was not eliminated now, it was likely that the few core disciples would feel even more pressure in the near future. Moreover, Kong Bin was also planning to challenge a core disciple after staying here for a while. From the looks of it, eliminating Chu Hen was the first step for him to become a core disciple. Annihilation! Kong Bin shouted coldly. Buzz buzz! The golden beam of light, which was like a divine ray, traversed the sky and headed towards Chu Hen. Wherever the golden beam of light passed, the dust in the air would disappear. The extreme power fluctuations seemed to have a terrifying power that could penetrate everything. However, Chu Hen did not dodge this time. His clear black eyes suddenly flashed with a demonic purple light. 2 sharp beams of light shot out from his pupils. As they moved, the 2 beams of purple light turned into 2 sharp arrows. Soon after, the arrows shone brightly and fused together. In the end, they turned into a giant arrow that was more than 50 meters long. Currently, the power of Chu Hen's sacred body had reached the peak of the 3-star demonic pupils. The power of the Nirvana ray had once again risen to another level. Swoosh! The giant purple arrow was like a giant arrow that pierced through the sky. It dragged a powerful airwave in the air and collided with the dazzling golden beam of light. Boom! The 2 rays of light, one golden and one purple, were like arrows that flew from the sky. They had an extremely strong penetrative power. Chapter 442. Rumble, the deafening sound of a thunderstorm reverberated in the sky above the Mang mountain range. The gorgeous golden beam of light and the devilish purple arrow were like two giant arrows colliding with each other. The violent turbulence was like a brilliant cloud exploding, and the earth-shattering shockwave of Zhen Yuan covered the sky and the sun, shrouding the sky within a radius of several miles. How can this damned brat be so powerful? On the mountain range below, Hu Tong and Meng Hong, who had just recovered from the shock, frowned. Their faces were filled with shock and anger. Meng Hong's expression was extremely ugly. Back in the sect, he had already lost all face when he was defeated by Chu Hen's illusory technique. Now Chu Hen had sent him flying with a single kick even without using an illusory technique, causing him to lose even more face. The third-ranked hall disciple of the Thousand Cranes sect was continuously abused. If he didn't kill Chu Hen here today, it would be difficult for him to stay in the sect in the future. The two of us shouldn't just stand there and do nothing. Help Kong Bin kill that brat, Meng Hong said fiercely. Hu Tong frowned and said in a low voice, if the three of us attack together, it will inevitably fall into people's mouths. Humph. Do you think that brat can defeat Kong Bin with his ability? Whether we make a move or not, he will lose. We're only helping Kong Bin because we want to end the battle quickly. That's right. Do it. Boom. With that, Meng Hong and Hu Tong both soared into the sky and erupted with the powerful aura of rank 3 void-piercing realm. They attacked Chu Hen. Chu Hen, who was fighting with Kong Bin, couldn't help but sneer in disdain when he saw the other two attack again. Ha 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 ha, the top 3 hall disciples are ganging up on me. So you can really do such a thing? Humph, Chu Hen, don't be so arrogant. You only came this far because you asked for it. A cold light flickered in Meng Hong's eyes. He spread his arms, and the green light floating around him became especially joyful. The airflow between the heavens and the earth became extremely chaotic. The wind howled, and beams of green light gathered in front of Meng Hong's hands like a whirlpool. In an instant, a solid wind blade like a sickle shot out, tearing through the air and emitting a sharp whistling sound as it rapidly slashed towards Chu Hen. Extreme wind slash. Xiao. The cyan-colored wind blade's speed was extremely fast. As it flew towards Chu Hen, the width of the wind blade continued to explosively increase. In a blink of an eye, from the initial half a meter, it explosively increased to nearly 100 meters in width. Extreme lethality swept out. It traversed across the horizon, its power like the rays of the heavens. Chu Hen frowned. Meng Hong's full-powered attack was still very imposing. Previously, Chu Hen had not given Meng Hong any opportunity to use any skills. This time, however, Meng Hong did not hold back at all. In his haste, Chu Hen commanded in his heart, and a green talisman mark appeared before him. Similarly, a strong gust of wind rose and whistled. A dense green light spread out from Chu Hen's body. In the next instant, Chu Hen waved his hand, and a sharp wind blade flew out from his palm. Feeling the power of the wind blade released by Chu Hen, Meng Hong sneered disdainfully. Humph, with just the power of your talisman mark, how can it be a match for the power of my bloodline boundary? As soon as he finished speaking, almost at the same time, the two wind blades collided. One was like a ray of light that flew from the heavens, while the other was like a shuttle that chased after the moon. Be it in terms of aura or power, Chu Hen's wind blade was far inferior to the one released by Meng Hong. However, what was surprising was that the two wind blades did not collide head-on. It was unknown whether Chu Hen's wind blade was off course or something, but it actually avoided the sharp edge of his opponent's wind blade. Instead, it struck the side of the blade. Bang! With an explosive sound, the wind blade released by Chu Hen was instantly shattered. However, immediately after, Meng Hong's wind blade suddenly changed its trajectory, and directly deviated from its original direction. It flew past Chu Hen's right side, and slashed at a mountain behind him. Bastard! Meng Hong cursed angrily. As it turned out, Chu Hen's wind blade was purposely deflected. It was for the sake of moving 1,000 caddies with little effort, to impact the blade's surface and change the trajectory of the wind blade. Boom! In the next instant, the green wind blade, which was nearly 100 meters wide, struck the mountain behind it with the power to split a mountain. The terrifying destructive power was completely unleashed, and more than half of the mountain top was flattened and shaved off. The rubble collapsed like a landslide. The commotion caused by the battle quickly attracted the attention of the people nearby. Damn, what's going on? Even the mountain was flattened? It seems to be Senior Menghong. There's also Hu Tong. Wait, it can't be. Even Senior Kong Bin is here. What? The top 3 of the sanctuary disciples are here? Hurry up and go quietly. This kind of thing is rare. The chaotic true origin energy filled the sky, causing the space within a few miles to tremble faintly. Moreover, the top 3 geniuses of the sanctuary disciples were all gathered here, attracting the attention of the surrounding people. Soon, the disciples from the other halls in the vicinity had arrived. When the crowd saw the situation, they were completely dumbfounded. Kong Bin, Hu Tong, Meng Hong. These 3 sanctuary disciples were actually attacking a person, and this person was none other than the new disciple who had just joined the assessment this year, Chu Hen. F***CK, are my eyes not working? Or am I under an illusion? Don't talk nonsense. You're not mistaken. It's Chu Hen fighting 1 against 3. I've been watching the battle since the beginning. How was it? How was the battle before? Damn, Chu Hen is really inhumane. If Kong Bin wasn't here, Hu Tong and Meng Hong would have been beaten like dogs. Everyone was stunned. Witnessing such a scene, they couldn't help but temporarily put down their own battles and quietly hide in the distance to watch the battle. Boom! Bang! All kinds of shocking true origin energy shook the sky. While Chu Hen faced Kong Bin head-on, he also had to deal with the fierce attacks of the other 2 people. The intensity of the battle was not small. But even so, Chu Hen did not show the slightest sign of defeat. He fought 1 against 3 with ease. Bang! Chu Hen and Kong Bin constantly launched a fierce head-on collision again and again. It was like the intersection of meteorites, true origin energy flew, and sparks flew everywhere. The more Kong Bin fought, the more shocked he became. With the strength of true origin energy at the 4th rank of the void-piercing realm, he was not able to gain the slightest advantage against Chu Hen. Chu Hen's realm cultivation was also different from the previous rumors. Half a month ago, Chu Hen was only at the 1st or 2nd rank of the void-piercing realm. But now, the power displayed by the opponent had already reached the 3rd rank. Isn't this speed of cultivation a little too fast? But even if it was the 3rd rank of the void-piercing realm, it was still not Kong Bin's opponent. In fact, Chu Hen not only did not show the slightest sign of defeat, but even every time they clashed head-on, the blood in Kong Bin's body was faintly surging up. Green flame falling calamity. A strong aura erupted from Yu Hudong's body. The quietly condensed killing move came as expected. Rumble! The green light illuminated the sky and sprinkled on the earth. Endless surging power fell from the sky, only to see in the area above Chu Hen, an incomparably huge fireball appeared between heaven and earth. This was a green fireball, and the incomparably hot air wave was overwhelming, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas. The terrifying scene was like a green sun falling from the sky, like a star, like a meteorite, bringing a terrifying oppression, like the pressure of Mount Tai, making people unable to move. Hey, don't try to escape! Kong Bin's face emerged with a cold and sinister smile, and then his hands continuously formed various complicated seals. When the last seal was completed, Kong Bin shouted in a deep voice, "Demon Sealing Seal Technique." Buzz. Waves of air trembled incessantly, and in an instant, with Chu Hen as the center, a thick layer of golden light suddenly appeared in 4 different directions. The 4 light curtains were like a huge 4-sided enchantment, trapping Chu Hen inside. At the same time that it was impossible to dodge, the peerless green fireball, with an endless aura of destruction, fell down fiercely. Chu Hen is finished. A palace disciple watching the battle from afar blurted out. These three people are really not to be trifled with. Their combined strength is too strong. It's a pity that Chu Hen is such a good seedling, otherwise with his potential, he will definitely become a core disciple in the future. The others also revealed expressions of shock. Kong Bin, Hu Tong, and Meng Hong were really ruthless. They didn't give Chu Hen any room to retreat at all. Looking at Chu Hen, who was trapped in the demon sealing seal technique, Meng Hong and the others already had a cold smile on their faces.